Alrighty, good evening everyone, and welcome to Smudcast number 124. This is a video brought to us by Dunn after our somewhat lackluster video from before, which was just a fanboy talking about how, geez, what was it about? Just hating on other fanboys. Interestingly enough, that actual creator of that video left a comment saying, I'm going to redo this video, and I'm going to be more concise and logical and practical and all that good stuff. Saying that, hey, our little bitching about other people bitching motivates people to make better content. So, hey, we're changing the world in small little spaces, I guess. So, always makes you feel good there. Anyway, let's get started. Welcome to Smudcast 124, Lessons to Learn from the Star Wars Sequels. This is a 17-minute video. It came out just 2 months ago. Has about 6,000 views from a channel called McIntyre. He has about 40k subs, and I don't know too much about it. I watched a few minutes of it. It sounds pretty okay. As Dunn said, yeah, it's a pretty decent video, and then something happens at the end, apparently. I don't know. Something...
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Okay.
At least.
All right, because it sounded like pretty rational. I was like, this is not bad. It's not great, but you know, if someone who likes the trilogy say, yeah, we can learn things from the sequels. Like we can. That's true. We can always learn from bad film. But he regards it as a good film or a good series of films, I guess, aside from Episode 9. But anyway, let's see how it goes. Let's get going.
Today, I'm doing something entirely new. I'm breaking down barriers. I'm changing the system. I'm going to blow all of your minds. That's right, a white guy in his 20s is talking about Star Wars on YouTube. I know. This is unconventional, and you're scared. And yes, I'm very brave. All jokes aside, though, I've recently become kind of fascinated with the modern era of Star Wars movies. I mean, I always was, because when these movies started coming out, I was an enormous fan of the series. And now that the Skywalker saga is over, and the dust has settled on Disney's first wave of new movies, I find the big picture of this chapter of the franchise to be so interesting. Star Wars used to be one of the most inherently beloved things in pop culture, but now it has a much shakier reputation.
I don't know. I don't think the prequels did a very good job making it inherently beloved. It sort of tarnished the reputation from the original for obvious reasons. That was always an ongoing thing for the past, decade and a half until we got the sequels. So, yeah, I don't think it's... I don't think the prequel movies did a good job. I think the games, some of the books, some of the comics, those did a much better job of allowing Star Wars to breathe as a franchise that has multiple creative outlets in media for us to experience. And the movies are just, we're doing this thing again, only much worse.
And it only took a few years to get here. Some people think it's
worse
because Disney turned the franchise into a soulless corporate product, and I hate to break it to you, but it's been that way for a while now. And now that months have gone by since the last movie was released,
was episode 1 to 3 a soulless corporate product? I don't think so.
I don't think so. If it was a soulless product, it would not have looked like it did. Like, I mean, George Lucas made those films because he wanted to, not because of any obligation to a corporation.
I would say that, yeah, even though it's always been like a corporate product, essentially, it is not. It's always had heart for the most part, and I think it started to lose it somewhat when it came to, Return of the Jedi, because obviously there's the whole thing which happened with Ewoks and everything's for toys, selling toys.
Well, that's always been one of the money makers since the beginning. So I wouldn't call that a corporate product, though. That's just That's just making merchandise. That's just making profit.
No, but it's. I would say it's because I suppose what would really classify as. Would it really be a corporation at that point?
No.
In like I guess it was a company.
Sure, but that's just like saying a company that has memorabilia is a corporate product. It's like, well, I have a Microsoft and a Sony T-shirt lying around somewhere, but it's not like, oh, I bought it. No, I got those things for free. I don't buy T-shirts unless I really like one. So buying a toy, buying a game, buying this or that, which is an offshoot of the original media, is natural. You like the thing, so you buy a representation of it, like a T-shirt or a hat, and you say, hey, what else is there I can get? Oh, we have this board game, we have this video game, we have this book. It's like, oh, cool. That's how it goes. It went with Mass Effect when they branched out into books and comics. It works with all sorts of other big franchises where they think they can make some money and tell a story and give the people what they want. I don't see a problem with that. Once we start going into like Disney making theme park attractions and costumes for Halloween, it's like, okay, that's pushing it. That's like, all right, what are you really doing there? But
I think something can, like, when we usually refer to something being a corporate product, it's kind of like when it's lost its heart and it's kind of made by like a boardroom or something, and it's making it for the sake of making it. Or like Metal Gear, I would say, like, it eventually just like each iteration becomes less and less heart, less and less passion.
I would say
it just becomes making it the product.
That's an interesting take, because Kojima always said this is going to be my last Metal Gear project, and he keeps getting called back to do it again and again.
Oh yeah, but he was being forced to do it.
Yeah,
essentially.
I would argue, yeah, a corporate product. What are those stupid survival horror Resident Evil movies? Like, that's a corporate product. It's a dumb story. It's
one that's not made out of passion or love or creativity. It's purely made out of just a need for money.
Well, I would argue some of the big franchises, like even Transformers, there's some passion behind them. There's no way animators can go that far without passion.
Well, even then, it's more, I would say, less about passion, more about money. Because, you get money, and you're paid to do a job.
Okay,
it's not exactly made out of the passion of Michael Bay. He's more like, more explosions, more of this, more American flags, more tits.
He should honestly just go to HBO and make a lot of that stuff. I think he would actually do relatively well there.
All right.
I think Transformers are very much a corporate product. I disagree. It's like, just because there's a lot of animation and stuff doesn't mean it's like just got passion in it. Because the animators at the end of the day are being paid to do a job. It's not about passion at that point. It's about, okay, here's some money, do your fucking job.
I think the
get
animator,
some more money if you do it well.
This craftsmanship of the people working on the project are very passionate. We could say that with any production. The quality, obviously, The Last Jedi had some excellent artists, whether it's in set design or CGI or what have you. It's the producer and the vision of the product that is probably lacking in creativity and dream. It's just sort of, we can make another Transformer film. We can make another Resident Evil film. We can make another whatever box office explosion for the sake of making money, as opposed to doing something new. That's true.
Hype has died down, and I was able to emotionally divorce myself from these movies. I rewatched The Force.
Okay, so he emotionally divorced himself from these movies, meaning he's being practical and stoic.
Objective.
Maybe even a little objective. That's possible.
Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker back to back, and I saw this trilogy in a very different light. And because every single detail of these movies has already been picked apart, mostly by very detestable people, I don't
well, I haven't done episode 9 yet, so I'm 2/3 detestable. How's that?
I want to talk about them today as just movies, as stories. This is not a review. Instead, I want to analyze episodes 7 through 9 as
because you hate the movie.
Because he hates episode 9. Is that the reason why?
You're bad. Yeah, I guess. I think maybe it's just like just all of Star Wars, since it's kind of the meme nowadays that all Star Wars has a toxic fandom, just objectively speaking, based on these people's point of view. Like I know Daniel Green and his requesting for Wheel of Time to release weekly rather than drop all at once was because kind of comparing The Mandalorian to The Witcher, where more people were talking about The Mandalorian as opposed to The Witcher because there was a more weekly release.
Oh, really?
And he also threw in the jab of also Mandalorian stayed around because toxic fandom and the discussion kept it going.
It's no surprise that the biggest movie franchise in the history of movies would have a spin-off that's more popular. It just happens that way. Although The Witcher was, I think, was it last year, reported as the most popular and most watched Netflix show ever, apparently.
It's been in the top 10 frequently. Just Netflix puts out its top 10 viewed, and Witcher is frequently on there, so it's got some staying power. A lot of people love it, and I honestly think that The Witcher is better than The Mandalorian. The Witcher is way better than The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think The Witcher definitely has problems, especially with the weird time jumping shit.
Yeah,
because there's no reason that they couldn't just tell the story in chronological order.
They are doing the books justice, but they're focusing a lot on multiple characters, very similar to how George R. R. Martin does all his innumerous huge epic books that have all these characters. So they're focusing on Yennefer a lot. They're jumping to Geralt, and they're going around to Ciri, which is fine because that's what the story is all about.
The time jumping as well can also get pretty confusing, and then it's those characters will see each other. And last episode, in the next episode, they're like, "Oh, Geralt, I haven't seen you in 6 months." It's well, you saw each other in the last episode. The time jumping is making it more confusing than it needs to be, and you need those to work on that a little bit more.
I think that just a little tag of the year that it happens would be helpful.
I think.
Well, it did not even a year. Just say. Oh, I suppose. Yeah, just to say 2 years later or 6 months later on the screen, making it very obvious. And then you're going through, because at the same time, it's not making these time jumps coherently. So you'll follow Geralt in the past, and then you'll follow Yennefer in the future. Then you go back to Geralt in the past. Then you'll go forward to the little girl, and then you'll go back to the past again, and then you go forward. Then you go back, and then
So here's my
middle, and it's all just a mess
of BC and AD. My thought would be just put a year AD, year whatever a significant event in The Witcher is, and then use that as just anytime we go to a new time, we just put a little thing in the corner of this is the year AD in The Witcher. In The Witcher, so.
But already there's no reason not to tell it all in chronological order, and I think that's more of my confusions with it. Because we don't need to start a castle being assaulted, and it's the child of surprise. It's so we see the child, and we go back to see when the child gets conceived, and it's well, why not just start at the beginning with The Witcher in the Witcher series, and then we go forward. We then see The Witcher and the consummation and all that, and then you keep going forward. And what's even more surprising, all this time, no one fucking ages.
I see nothing wrong with
Witchers. The Witchers and witch and sorceresses don't age.
They age differently.
But ignoring my main problem with the whole time jumping, I think The Witcher's still fucking fantastic.
Well, okay, let's compare the demographics
I would agree with that.
of let's say Game of Thrones. I don't know. You guys remember Rome, the HBO show, a long time ago?
I have heard of it. I need to watch it.
Okay, that kind of show is a little bit over the top. It still had tits and violence, but it had crazy blood splatter, comically crazy blood splatter.
Or Spartacus. I think it wasn't that Spartacus that was doing that?
Yeah, that's Spartacus as well.
I heard that Rome was kind of like subdued in terms of its violence. It wasn't like as crazy as something like Spartacus, which is like dialed up to 11.
Then there's like
it's definitely like this is a cartoon.
Yeah, then there's like Lucy Lawless like sleeping with her slaves and all these other interesting elements that people would enjoy because it has these adult qualities to it. So I think that's where people, after missing or no longer having Game of Thrones, they say, hey, there's another fantasy episode series, and it's got, you know, all the things you like from Game of Thrones, but it's high fantasy. It's not just what we call Game of Thrones, low fantasy or middling fantasy.
I'd say that it's low fantasy. Yeah, I'd say it's low fantasy because it doesn't have as much magic in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they actively cut out magic to appeal to soccer moms and to moms and NFL players.
Really? Okay.
The way that the creators, that's actually, I wish those were my own words and not the creators themselves words on the subject. They actually used the words, we wanted to appeal to NFL players, players and moms.
Oh dear. I know Martin wanted to have to slowly introduce things coming. The signs of the times, magic is slow. The dragons are slowly coming back. I like that. And we showed the very realistic medieval period of whatever world we're in. I like that. And then it just sort of ramps up. But not exactly the way he was expecting, I bet, in the show. Anyway, let's keep going.
Of dormant franchises and as templates for new Star Wars stories, because I think this trilogy is a very interesting case study for that, and in many cases a very interesting cautionary tale.
Yes.
The spin-offs, on the other hand, are not, because they're just boring. So these are my main takeaways. Let's call them less.
They're just boring. I actually enjoyed Solo. It was fun to watch, but it was just stupid. Like, it was still fun. I wouldn't call it boring.
I would actually call Solo boring. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have any fun.
I think it's fun enough. The movie, like, just is kind of drained to watch because it's just muddy brown.
The color.
In terms of its lighting.
Oh, the lighting.
The whole time.
I gotcha.
To learn Star Wars and reboot-esque sequels, which are still popping up all over the place. You might say it seems like that's all we're getting sometimes. In fact, we'll soon be getting the second attempt to do it with Ghostbusters within 5 years. Please make it stop.
Okay, so lesson 1, have a plan. I think that's... it goes without saying.
That's like writing 101, I think.
It's like when you get into a car, where are you going? I don't know. In the car. Like, no. Where are we going, Star Wars, guys?
This one just seems like a given. I mean, if I were to spend $4 billion to acquire the most potentially profitable franchise in the entire film industry, and I had a very clear release structure I wanted to emulate, I'd make a rough outline. As The Rise of Skywalker proved, I really doubt Disney was trying to gamble with these movies. And sure, maybe an outline would hamper individual creativity for filmmakers, but plans change. They evolve.
Again, we always make this statement in most of our film or critiques. We need to limit the creativity of the creator so they can actually focus their thoughts and their efforts.
Yeah, we want to set boundaries.
Exactly.
We want to set boundaries and say, please no tangents to a stupid casino planet.
Yeah, know your magical powers and the fantasy of the work you're in, of the lore that you've seen before. Don't start reinventing things and making them crazy unless you have good explanations later or payoffs later on. Basic stuff when writing a story with an established lineage, at least.
With new ideas, and an outline could be malleable. You don't need to map out every single plot beat of every movie from the beginning.
Oh God, if someone handed me billions of dollars, you bet damn right I'll have every goddamn detail figured out. Every single detail. I'd be up all night every day going, oh, this better be perfect. Hand it over to a director, he'd be like, what is this? It's like, I gave you 5 pages at one point I wrote 2 years ago, whatever. Make it into a movie, damn it. I would have gone nuts. I think anyone would have gone nuts with details.
very carefully. I would have very, very carefully mapped out all three movies and like spent months on the outline alone before I ever started filming.
Or writing, or you know, showing it to anyone. Just like figured out, contemplate it, philosophize over it, run around the house you're in for a while. Just like, oh, is this right? Let me just take my mind off it, come back to it, do another redraft. Like, oh, is it right? Is it good? Like constantly pulling your hair out, making sure this is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Because you have a lot of people who are really invested in this.
Yeah, it's kind of really like making sure everything is like coming into a restaurant, making sure everything you could possibly think of is perfect. The chairs are comfortable, the music's soft, the lighting's not too bright, the service is quiet and attentive. Every single element of the dining experience, outside of the cooking, is perfect. Never mind what they're doing in the kitchen. You have no control. Everything else around you.
Yeah.
Just have an idea of who the heroes are, who the villains are, and where they're going to end up. Because when you start making stuff up out of nowhere past the point of no return, it sticks out.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
And as someone who really likes The Last Jedi, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because the freedom Rian Johnson was given resulted in the best movie of the new trilogy in its own right.
Okay. Best is...
With that, I would not agree with that.
We need to know what he thinks is good, and then why 8 is better than 7. I just want to know why. Whatever criteria he's using.
It's bad and is broken at many points, but it's not as bad as TLJ.
Yeah, 7 is the
It just seems like they get progressively worse. It's kind of amazing.
7 is the more coherent film. You see the through line of where everyone's going and what's happening, and then 8 just sort of Rey's gonna go to Kylo. It's like, why? Why would you do that? There's no reason. Oh, the Force showed me. It's like, wait, you saw it in the Force? Can you do that, Rey? Do you have Force visions now? Is that like something you were taught? Like, oh no, okay. Change the entire plot just because Luke is being a stingy old man. You couldn't beat him up properly and drag him along with your Wookiee friend to carry all this tiny little human that you couldn't pick up. Okay.
I was thinking that she just got a wild hair up her ass and got bored and wanted to do something.
I'm so tired of training when I'm a god. Yeah.
also aware that simply saying I like this movie has immediately discounted my opinion in many people's brains, and that's okay because I find that
no, I think you're just
the
wrong.
powers that be knew they were making a trilogy. They should have had some idea of where they wanted the story to go from the beginning, and I'm honestly shocked they didn't. You don't have to...
Okay, so this is kind of funny because we know Brian Johnson did episode 8. He didn't pay a damn bit of attention to episode 7. So if that's the case, then they can't plan anything because you changed writers, you changed directors. So
yeah, Brian Johnson just went with his first draft.
Imagine
at least like 90% of it. Is his first draft.
Imagine you, all three of us, plan out a trilogy. I'm gonna write book 1. You're gonna write book 2. Shiny write books 3, and Dunn's like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And we're like, what? What? How?
Wait a minute, okay, so you two are writing about some kind of fantasy story. Well, I'm going to make it sci-fi. And we're going to have spaceships, and they're just going to come down here, and they're going to blow up the dragon. It's going to be crazy. It's insane. No one's going to expect it. It's all going to subvert everyone's expectations. No, it's all new as well. Because it's new, it's good, and no one's ever done a cross between science fiction and fantasy, so it's going to be amazing.
And you only thing you'd have to know is what happens at the end and who are alive and who are dead, so that you can have some continuity with the characters in whatever you're doing now. It's just like that's not a very good setup for writing another story in a trilogy. It's silly. It's no one would do this. But that's what happened.
To have an ironclad treatment that directors and writers can't deviate from, but a beginning, middle, and end for an entire trilogy? Maybe just jot some notes down.
All right, so lesson 2, I actually think this is a good lesson. I don't know if his explanation is going to make any sense, but a subversion, like any other thing, any other technique, works very well when you understand the technique and how to break it. Like a reveal who the murderer is in a murder mystery, and how to have another murderer or an accomplice or some other element that you weren't expecting to come about. You have to be very careful because there's lots of rules, like a lot of rules in murder mysteries. So same technique with basic storytelling, plot twists, having an enemy reveal themselves, like Palpatine coming back out of nowhere. There are certain ways to do that. So subverting one's expectation of what's going to happen next is a fine idea, but you really, you have to be an expert at doing that. You really do. You can't just say, hey, you know what? We're going to kill the bad guy in episode 8. You're like, well, yeah, okay, maybe. That could work. Not so much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Since 2017, people have been complaining about how The Last Jedi subverted expectations, to the point where the phrase has almost lost all meaning. But subversion isn't just plot twists. It can be anything from a character.
No, I'm pretty sure it still has meaning.
In relation to other works.
I don't think it's like
also,
Mary Sue
at
this point.
Franchise as big and familiar as Star Wars, you have to do something new. I don't think that's a controversial statement. Nostalgia alone is
an idea of how it fits in. I think that mainly it's just work within the parameters that you have and then tell a story using that.
I think the urge to do something new is kind of natural, and I'm sure Rian Johnson was, I want to do my own thing, which is technically new. That's fine. But you're doing a trilogy. You're doing a through line that connects to so many other elements. You have a very narrow realm of creativity to work with that people are going to go, oh yeah, okay. Imagine having, I don't know, a 3-course meal, and the first meal is Italian, the second course is Indian, and the third course is Ethiopian. You're like, whoa, that is just crazy. It might be complementary. It could be incredibly contrasting. It could be absolutely horrible, where one flavor could be too hot or too cold, or too spicy or too whatever. And then you can't taste the next dish, or it leaves a bad digestion at the end. Like imagine your dessert is spicy or something like that. You have to know how you're doing it. You can't just start wildly doing new things. It doesn't make sense that way. You can't suddenly turn episode 9 into a romance. You just can't. It would be ridiculous. You could have romantic elements. You could have all kinds of elements. It's a space opera. You could do all kinds of things. But the focus should never be, let's change genres. It's like, no.
Alone isn't enough to carry a story, as Rogue One and Solo both proved by being very dull slideshows of Star Wars things you recognize. And yes, The Force Awakens, in broad strokes, does tell the same story as A New Hope, but the key pieces are distinctly different and set up a very different path. Where the heroes come from, what they want, what they're afraid of.
I would have to disagree there.
And who they want to be. As a result, The Last Jedi's best decision was not simply trying to be The Empire Strikes Back again, which it really could have been. For the most part, I think Rian Johnson did an exemplary job with this, by moving from a very familiar story to almost completely uncharted waters, and reshaping the structure of the conflict we all knew. In fact,
what was the conflict we all knew? There. What was
Empire versus Rebels? There is no difference. It's the exact same thing.
They even get the Rebels and the Resistance this mixed up throughout the film. There's no difference. They're using different names.
Yeah, it's also they're trying to reshape it as morally gray, and no, Rian Johnson failed to make this morally gray. If you want morally gray, watch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Well,
it's from Morley Gray.
What did they do? They made a slow motion car chase in space. Like
it's just the chase with the Millennium Falcon, only worse.
Well, there's a bunch of those, but it's just, let's just put everything, half the film or more than half the film, this car chase that goes really slowly. The explanation is so silly. You're like, really? You have all this technology, all these ships, and you don't know what to do? And you're just going to wait it out? And
how do they only have a jump for one hyperspace jump? That is so ridiculous.
They invented fuel, and that became the next plot of Solo, and fuel became a big deal. And now fuel is synonymous with hyperspace. So fuel for your ship is equal to fuel for your hyperspace technology, and you're like, okay, interesting, fine. You can go that route. But then you have all these other ships that you say I can track, but you don't track anything through hyperspace. They don't bother.
Are you not able to track Finn and Rose's ship going to Canto Bight?
Yeah, it's like, why not? You have hundreds, if not thousands, of ships to go chase after every Resistance ship out there. What's stopping you?
Also, why would the Resistance just have one base?
Would it have been good though?
So they used to be they are a paramilitary group for the Republic. The world building is so asinine.
Would it have been exciting though? No sense. To give Rose and Finn an actual villain to run away from or compete with while they're on Canto Bight? Say, oh yeah, we're in a war. While we have DJ saying, "Don't join the war, buddy. Like, you got to get out of here." That would have been interesting. They actually say, "Hey, we have this technology to track people. We're tracking people. We're chasing after you. We're big bad evil guys, and we're going to stop you from whatever you're doing because you're the bad guys, because you're rebels." You're like, "What?" No. Also, we'll put them in jail. They'll be stupid enough to land in a stupid area, so they're thrown in jail, and all the authorities come after them. It's like, that's the enemy, really?
Another issue is, why is the hyperspace tracker only on one ship?
No, it's on all of them. They say that all the hyperspace trackers are on every single ship.
Why is it not active on every ship?
That's what they don't explain. They explain that only one's active at a time, and they have to trick them into thinking one is active. And when they deactivate that one, they're not able to track them.
When you think about it,
they don't just activate another one.
That's stupid.
Because they mention it when because they say, "Oh, look, the Mega Star Destroyer, the Supremacy, that has a hyperspace tracker, and we need to turn it off." And then they say, Poe turns around and says, "Yes, we'll blow it up." I like your thinking, but no, because they'll just turn on the tracker on the other ships. It's like, wait, so this whole scene makes no sense because they just think that they could just blow up the Mega Star Destroyer on a whim.
The idea is that you have these ships that are all interconnected via computer, and they have a process that runs on one of the ships that will do the hardware thing, which is tracking, like the technology thing. And if you disrupt that one software thing, that it'll just not work until the system says, "Oh, wait a second, why isn't this process running?" Kind of like a Linux bot. I don't know if you guys know servers for Linux, or even your computer is a server at certain times. It has a process, but the process is based off hardware. But if everyone has the hardware, it's really, really stupid to have a separate or external server on a spaceship, which is naturally mobile, to be controlled by another spaceship. And it's just like, why would this be a thing? Why don't they all have the same process running simultaneously, regardless of what the other ship? Why would they care what the other ships are doing?
Even hook it onto one ship each. They have
does it use a lot of power? Considering the size of the ship, I don't think it would take that much power.
That's so dumb.
Especially since the TIE fighters can somehow carry... So the TIE fighters can not only carry a hyperspace tracker, apparently, but they can also carry a hyperdrive.
That will suck up power. I think tracking is not that complicated. And
I think the idea of introducing hyperspace tracking was kind of stupid anyway, because there was something in Legends... the Rebellion would always do multiple jumps so they couldn't be followed, because the idea was the entirety of space is made out of hyperspace lanes. Because when you see someone going down hyperspace, you know they're going down this lane. There's only so many places they can go, which is why the rebellion would jump to multiple places. So they'll do multiple jumps before they go to their home base. So we already know you can follow someone down a hyperspace lane. Why do you need to use these trackers, and what do the trackers do? Because the only other time we see hyperspace tracking in the films is by throwing a little tracker on there. Like, it's an actual physical tracker. It's, a beacon. It's sending out some kind of signal, and then you track it that way. But it's just something that it's like round peg, square hole, and it's hyperspace tracking doesn't make sense in the context of Star Wars.
It's a dumb explanation. It makes sense to the context of what, how the Rose and Finn understand it. And we're like, okay, fine, we'll go with that. But when you actually stop and think and understand how technology works, hardware and software, intermittent processes and this and that, it's like there would be so much redundancy. There would be so many independent things that would cause a ship to operate, to require the operation of another ship. But then again, this also happens in Episode 9 with the stupid one ship has the coordinates to go up or whatever the hell it was, and the tower is the one that controls it. It's like, this is stupid. This is so dumb.
I still don't know what the rebellion's plan was in TLJ. Because they hyperspace away, and then they're floating around in space. And it's like, they tracked us. We only have enough for one jump. Oh no! But apparently we have enough fuel to go on for 9 hours or something to prolong this film. And then the whole thing is that they want to go back down to the planet. And then when they're on the planet, the whole thing is to get off the planet. So what was the point in going down to the planet in the first place if as soon as you're there, you need to get away again? And then it's like, why didn't they use a hyperspace tracker on the Falcon? And it's like, don't think about it. Because
essentially the whole movie is a plot cul-de-sac.
It's when you actually use your brain.
If they could escape when the Mega Star Destroyer was blown up, why didn't they just escape then?
There's so many things when you stop and think that it breaks apart on many scenes, whether it's the plot, what's character behavior, motivation for the whatever they need. It's just, there's so many areas we can look at and say why it's bad. And these people don't care because they just see it as a fun little romp, and that's fine. If you don't want to think about it, that's great. But any basic understanding of what they're saying and saying, okay, so A leads to B, but what if they just get the Z already? Why can't they just go there right now? And they can't figure this out. Everyone's incompetent. This is what I hate. Well, everyone fails. It's like, they're not failing. They're all stupid.
There's a difference. There's a difference between, like, Robb Stark fails for very, very character-based reasons in A Song of Ice and Fire. He gets killed because he marries the wrong girl because in a moment of weakness, he slept with her to get some comfort. He didn't want to dishonor her, so he married her. At least in the books. In the show, he just followed his dick.
And then comes the straw man. It's like, well, you don't like Luke Skywalker having flaws. You just wanted him to be perfect. You can't allow characters to have flaws. Ha ha ha. And it's like, no.
My only complaint about that movie is that Johnson tended to overuse subversion as a plot beat in and of itself at times.
Only.
So I was just...
That was his only thing he used.
Only.
I was thinking the movie's just a stupid blockbuster, and that's the main issue with it.
And considering that almost every single plot point revolves around subversion of expectations, you think that if he's got a problem with it, then he would have a problem with a lot of the film. Because it's like, Snoke, well, subversion. Kylo, well, subversion. Then subversion again. Then subversion again. Then subversion again. Hey, look, Counterbite. Well, subversion again. Holdo subversion.
Oh, the whole Canto bite with the guy breaking out of the jail cell was like, okay, this is too much.
But I thought there were only 2 people in the galaxy that could somehow hack the shields of the Mega Star Destroyer to get through. I don't know.
It's a mess.
For more twists. That style of storytelling just works better for me in, say, a mystery story, as was proven. But after The Last Jedi, in terms of story and character, I was really intrigued to see where the third movie would take things, because they had a blank slate. They couldn't just do Return of the Jedi again. They were working with completely different pieces. And then they just kind of made Return of the Jedi again. Will the hero turn to the dark side?
Really? Episode 9 was like Return of the Jedi?
I mean, I would say TLJ is more like stealing plots from Empire Strikes Back than this. Because I don't really see the connection. I suppose, yeah, they did jam in the whole "Am I dark?" But then again, that wasn't really a huge focus of Return of the Jedi.
I really don't think Episode 9's stealing off the original trilogy. It's such a mess. Like, where do you start with the comparison? Like, how?
Message coming in.
It seems as though JJ was more trying to cram in every single bit of the original trilogy into one movie, more than like just rip off Empire, because there's elements like the first half is kind of like MacGuffin hunt, kind of like how Episode 4 is very much a kind of a MacGuffin hunt. And then you have the reveal of Rey's parents.
It's delivering the MacGuffin.
Yeah, and then you have Rey finding out her grandpa is Palpatine, like in Empire, and then it ends with a Return of the Jedi style encounter with the Emperor.
And you also got to think about all the things of Endgame. They tried to have a lot of Endgame moments in there. Like the whole on your left moment, and they did that with Lando. It's like, hey, we got a black guy. No. But it's like they're all coming out of hyperspace to on a similar shot as Endgame, as all the huge army, and it's that's terrible.
That's a bad movie. They're all bad movies.
You have infinite ships against infinite ships. Who thought this was a good idea?
Well, they didn't do anything. They just sort of sat there.
It's a visual noise. It's like a Transformers film, only with less blatant racism against everything in existence.
Is there racism in Transformers?
Yeah, there is horrible racism in Transformers.
I remember there was those 2 black stereotypes, and then there was Deep Wang. I don't know who thought Deep Wang was a good idea.
Oh, either, but
in terms of racist in terms of stereotypes, or racist in terms of actual racism.
I think a bit of both. I think Michael Bay just kind of thinks that black people are just generally funny and just makes them loud and obnoxious, and then just
patching it through.
I eat the whole plate.
I ate the whole plate. The whole plate.
Jesus. Okay.
And then the parents are clearly stupid or something, because why would anybody who is sane wear those absurdly awful green jumpsuits in public
I think
when they're not exercising?
Transformers just don't human work very well, because you also have Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah,
he's not human.
Hence,
Sam Witwiki's not human.
Hence, why I think that Michael Bay is just racist against everybody. It's not just
I don't think
black
he's racist.
people. I think
at that point you're not even being racist. It's just he doesn't know how to write people.
Yeah, so he's. There's a lot of cases to be made that Michael Bay has sociopathic tendencies, and I kind of agree with that, honestly. So that he doesn't seem like he understands people very well, even in his other movies.
Here is Adam Wofford. Thank you, sir. In Star Wars hyperspace, it is extremely dangerous to go off the known hyperspace lanes, but the Rebels did so by using several R2 units to navigate through hyperspace, making system-to-system jumps. Okay, cool. I think, Shiny, you illuminated on that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always talking about the speed of hyperspace in Star Wars is ridiculously different than it is in other FTL travel than in other shows, and it's just extremely fast. So
I remember someone was measuring it. I think it was E.C. Henry, and the problem is with his measurement, his only reference for time, because he had the whole ticking clock with the fuel. He had one reference for time, and his reference was TLJ. So I don't really think that's a very good thing, because in the sequels, the hyperspace is just like it's fast as the plot needs, and it's like it's the whole idea of hyperspace is really fast. Like in Rise of Skywalker, they do like the hyperspace skipping, where it's like one planet, another planet, another planet, another planet, another planet, another planet. Just keep going. Just keep doing planets over and over again. Come on.
I know it's a lot different than in Star Trek. It's a lot different in Mass Effect. It's a lot different in pretty much every sci-fi out there. They reinvent how FTL can work, which is great. I love that. And the explanation doesn't have to be super hard. It doesn't have to be...
I like Mass Effect's travel.
Sorry?
I like Mass Effect's FTL. Having to rely on the relays.
The relays are great. Same with it's the same idea with Babylon 5. The difference is with Mass Effect, they originally set it up as you're instantly, it's so powerful, you go so fast in this massless corridor, all you're doing is decelerating. So it takes really, really long to decelerate. The problem with that is, with gameplay as well as in Mass Effect 2, they just sort of forgot about it. So as soon as you do it, it's like instant. But in the original, I think the first conversation with Joker, where he's explaining how to hit a certain point of space after exiting a relay, takes like hours to finally get to where you're going. So you get to where you're going really fast, but you really have to slow down to finally get to normal speeds, which is kind of crazy, but makes sense. And that's what they've invented, and then they just forgot about it as the games went on. So
yeah, as the games went on, they kind of threw out a lot of the lore.
I know.
So essentially, they kind of forgot about the lore.
Oh yeah.
Kind of forgot. I would say they kind of threw out.
They just said, "Oh, it's not fun enough. It's not cool enough. We need more explosions."
Because the whole behind thermal clips. Because originally the guns were like the guns didn't need ammo, but they needed to cool down. So it was trying to distance itself and make itself more unique. But then all of a sudden in Mass Effect 2, because obviously they need to be more like other shooter games, it's like, well, let's add the ammo system in. But in the lore, you've already made a sense that it's from like that you can basically make endless ammo inside the gun, because you're just making a very small bullet and then firing it have incredibly high speeds because of Mass Effect technology. And now all of a sudden you're now limiting the gun because you need thermal clips.
That was really stupid. Then they reinvented the cane from Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3. The cane was just a souped up gun that just does just a bigger payload. And then in the third game, it's an actual, I don't know, you could actually visually see the missile that comes out of the cane. You're like, what? That's not what a cane does. The same thing with not the Javelin torpedoes, but the Thanix cannons now has Thanix missiles. Is like, what the hell is a Thanix missile? That's stupid.
Yeah, they just invented that on the spot. It's also wait. I thought the cannon was like molten something fired from a beam weapon, and it's like, but now it's a missile. How does that turn to a missile?
Yeah, they screwed up a lot of lore.
Yeah, that's why I say not so much forgot, more threw it out.
Yeah, or retcon if you want to call it that.
Because no, it's not even particularly retconning, because even then they just kind of, because they still have an explanation. They're not changing the law.
Oh, they are.
No. With the guns specifically, I'm using that as the most example because they don't retcon it more so that they just say, "Oh, well, we just kind of here's a thing," and it's now different.
The Geth did a new technology, and the entire galaxy adopted it. It's like, wait a second, that's stupid, and that's the explanation. So no, that's not a retcon, but it's so stupid that as soon as you hear it, but then they actually have details for like the Kane or the Thanks missiles in the codex, and you're like, okay, that's a retcon. That's obviously a retcon, even though they didn't have a in-universe explanation. This is the codex telling you now it does this. You're like, wait, no, it doesn't. So yeah, it's just we can go on about retcons and Mass Effect for a long time. It's just silly bullshit.
I've never had a really good proper discussion about Mass Effect before.
Oh, it's painful. It takes
I think I'd find it fun.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about, but it's still painful once you realize that they did that for the dumbest reasons. Like, it's not cool. It's not. I like the pump action on the shotgun in Gears of War, and it's not cool. Why can't we do that? It's like because we didn't do that the first time, you moron. Like, we can't just reinvent guns. Why not? Okay, I guess we can.
Like because they added pumping to the shotguns.
That's the only reason. That's the only. So we reinvent every single other gun in the game and make a bullshit reasoning for it. Like, okay. Okay,
but at least it was cool.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's cool. You get to pump a shotgun.
You get to pump
makes sense.
A thermal clip, a heat sink that you would find on a computer chip or some bullshit. You're like, okay, thanks, that's great.
Where does the thermal clip go into the gun?
I have no idea.
Because obviously they haven't changed the gun design.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the everyone started buying the fluorescent light bulbs with the spinny bulb. It's twisted as opposed to a light bulb, which is like an oval shape. That's what it reminded me. Like you're inserting a stupid looking fluorescent light bulb into your gun. It's like, what the hell is this shit?
But where does it go in? Because there's no hole for it.
It's so stupid. Just kind of pops out. There's so many dumb animations of Shepard tapping the side of his gun and this little thing, like hot ember, just flies out. And you're like, what did that do?
There's no hole.
Like, how does that work?
There's no hole in the gun. Where does it come out of?
It's so stupid.
And then he pumps something into the bottom of his gun. It's like, there's no hole there. What are you doing?
All right, Adam Wofford again. Also depends on types of hyperdrives. The Falcon has 0.5 type drive, but others
message coming in
have 0.4 and 0.1.
The lower the point of the drive, the faster it is.
Really?
Yes.
He's saying the slowest hyperdrives are
like the higher the number, the slower the drive.
Really? That's the opposite of what he's saying. Okay. I did not know that. I don't understand. It doesn't matter. All cool lore stuff. Not really important, but nice to learn about. If the lore made sense, if it was relevant, and the writers knew the lore, that'd be special, then I'd respect Rian Johnson at least on that level. But he doesn't care about the lore as we learned.
I would respect Rian Johnson if he could fucking just... I don't care he made a bad film. Actually, no, I do care.
The prick.
I care more about the fact he's stuck up little shit about it. Acting like his film's the most perfect thing in the world when it's like, no. But Ryan, these flaws are over here. Maybe you should look at them because you've got problems in your film. And it's like, no, la, there's no problems, la. And it's like, Ryan, I could respect you so much more if you just admit when you fuck up. You don't even have to say your film's bad. Just admit there's flaws in it, like the ones we're pointing to, rather than just calling his names and calling his racist and then attacking fans. Well, looks like there's someone to block in chat.
Oh, joy.
Fuck. I can't do it from the pop-out window. I'll have to... That's annoying. Attack of the Droids. Attack of the Clankers. Time to put user in timeout.
Is there somebody being a dick in chat?
Yep. Oh, Actually, you have to be in live chat to see it.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm doing my best.
yeah, I'm on it now because I'm on live chat. I'll keep an eye on it.
Alrighty. Oh wow, Fleshlight. That's great. Fantastic name.
And it keeps going.
Wow.
Shall we keep going with this
Yeah, we
video?
can keep going. I'll keep an eye on the clankers.
Will they kill the
Why do I have
get a super
the
chat.
I don't have the power to block
We did
anyone
get a
anymore.
chat.
I only have the power to put them in timeout.
Oh.
We did get a super chat from Mike Wofford.
We did? We have one from Adam.
I mean,
Yeah, I already read the one about hyperdrive versions. I got those already, so I think we're okay.
Okay. Okay, cool.
All right, let's keep going.
Finish
Villain
this
be
thing up.
redeemed out of love for their family. Look at that space battle. All your friends are dying. Did J.J. Abrams forget they just did that in the last movie? When a story is burned into pop culture as deeply as Star Wars, people will recognize repetition. That's inevitable. But repetition, like subversion, is a tool. Using recognizable pieces but changing key aspects of them gives them new meaning for a new story. You need to balance both to keep things identified.
There's okay, yeah, but that's any technique. I'm not seeing that as a. I don't think repetition is ever a good idea, for especially when you're comparing it to another film.
I think that George R. R. Martin can do it well, but he doesn't do it in the main series. He does it in his histories and uses his characters from history to parallel characters in the current narrative.
What I mean by repetition...
Even then he doesn't do, like, direct copies.
Yeah, but that's what episode 7 is to episode 4. Like, that's a copy. Whether he calls it repetition or a copy, it's still a bad idea.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Like, it could have worked.
Like, that's why...
Sorry?
Go for it, sorry.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, like, a lot of... Go for it, sorry.
Yeah, like... It's such a big copy that it gives you nostalgic feelings. Like, oh, I've seen this film before. Is that what he means by copying or repetition? I don't know. It's still a bad technique the way it was used. And he even admitted that Rian Johnson has problems with overusing subversion. So where is Rian Johnson's technique of subversion a good thing? Like, show us why it's good. Don't just talk about it. Just say, where is it good in the film? Where does it make you laugh? Where does it make you smile? And why?
I think maybe we should just, well, it's not funny, but I guess we could, like, shove him into just doing stupid romantic comedies. It seemed like that would be his niche.
Oh,
or documentaries.
Have the girl wind up with some random dude that you weren't expecting, and have the guy contemplate existence at the end as opposed to getting hooked up. Is that what we're gonna do in a romance, just to subvert all our expectations? Oh God,
that'd be better than Mystery. It'd be better than Knives Out or Last Jedi.
Oh,
because we don't care. Well, we don't care about both, but we care about Last Jedi. We don't like Knives Out is just its own weird original property that he pulled out of his arse.
Can you imagine pissing off all the ladies in a romance movie by having none of the protagonists or antagonists wind up with anyone? Like, that would just be depressing. That'd be so sad. You're like, oh my God, these people, they tried so hard. They got nothing. It's like, that's not nice. That doesn't uplift me. I want a fantastical romance. I want this beautiful story of people overcoming adversity and family life and all the other problems and coming together and being triumphant. It's like, nope, they all break up. Everyone hates each other. The end. Like, whoa, it's not a romance. It's a depression. Anyway, Joe Crazy. Rain, my films are perfect bigots. You could never understand my galaxy brain. I think we understood them rather easily. They were just bad films.
Yeah, they're very simple to understand.
Don't understand the big themes.
Oh, I understand the big themes. They're really
Big
obvious
themes.
because Rian Johnson is not subtle.
You just don't get the message of fighting what you hate instead of saving what you love. And
I
you
get
don't
it. I
like
just think it's stupid.
and
Stupid.
Luke Skywalker being flawed makes him human, and you just didn't understand the theme of the film being failure and how that's the
just your
greatest
opinion,
teacher.
Ryan. It's just your opinion, Ryan. That's just your opinion. Since there's nothing objective, I can just say that you are wrong.
Wrong.
Here's Adam Wofford. It's even more stupid when you have cryo ammo. Oh, don't even talk about the ammo powers. All that bullshit. Oh my god. And still have to eject thermal clamp after a few shots. That whole system is stupid. No shiny is right. Okay. They explained in the first game they had an ammo block. All right. So you have actual ammunition. And then they invented a stupid thing called, I don't know how this works, but if you have a thing that already works, so you could have an ammo block of dry ice, you could have an ammo block of magnesium, you could have an ammo block of anything, and you could have the same effect as what ammo powers did. It would have made perfect sense in the lore. But no, they couldn't do that. You know how we watched the film with Dredd where he has that gun that does multiple different types of ammo? And we don't know where the hell this ammo comes from, but they have like bullets are one thing, then flares are one thing, a missile is one thing, whatever the hell that grenade thing was. So they had different kinds of ammo, and they all made sense. And you ran out, and that was fine. In Mass Effect, the ammo is so small, it's like sand grain size, and that's why when Shiny was explaining it, it's like it's virtually limitless. Because you have this big ammo block, it just shaves off a little piece every time you fire. You're never going to run out in like years, so you don't have to worry about it. And then they invent ammo powers, where someone can press a few buttons on their gun, somehow that's networked linked to every other gun in the galaxy that you just happen to also have at your disposal, that also has cryo things which freeze people, or thermal, what is it? I can't remember, was it melted armor?
I like the idea of the way that you could use them though. Not exactly the cryo ammo, but you had the ammo which was better for taking down shields, and you had to switch to the ammo which is better at armor than the ammo that's better at health. I like you had to switch between them for different enemies. But yeah, it was kind of stupid about how it fit into the lore.
But biotic ammo? What the hell is that? You have some sort of weird connection to your gun because you're a biotic and you can make the bullets hurt more? Like what? Is this magic?
Maybe it was a phallic weapon.
It's a phallic weapon.
Maybe it's connected through being phallic.
It just pisses me off. You see this stupid shit, like, why? This is dumb.
Yeah, it's real dumb. I haven't even watched it. I haven't played this game, and it just looks terrible.
Well, it's fun to play, but it's just dumb the way they explain stuff, or they don't explain stuff. Because rule of cool, right?
Yeah. If you have rule of cool, there are cool things you can do, but you gotta do some interesting. You gotta make sense within the cool.
And biotics are supposed to be blue, but biotic ammo was purple, and then what's his name at the end of Mass Effect 3? Tim gets purple biotic mind control powers. You're just like, okay, this is stupid. This is so dumb.
The elusive man can do things like control you to shoot the guy, and then he can
magic Reaper
and then
powers.
Shoot him through Reaper powers. Oh, he just fucking shoots himself.
It's great character. Fantastic use of Martin Sheen. Thanks, BioWare.
And why does he like to sleep with blue women? Not for knowledge, no. He just has a king.
He just likes blue chicks. Okay. That's all we know.
You could have had depth to your character, but no, he just likes blue tits.
Imagine if you got someone like Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing, to do the writing for dialogue.
Trust Canada to make one of the best science fiction franchises and fuck it up royally. And not in the same way as Star Wars or Star Trek, but in their own strange and unique way. Not through social justice, but through something. And that's something I don't think it's ever going to be quite understood. It's its own phenomena.
No.
Fine.
Don't remind me.
Message coming in.
Ways
that I have to deal with Canadians and talking about.
It's so stupid though, because it's like it kind of feels like there's no reason. There is no reason to fuck up, but yet they did. It's just almost incompetency at that point.
You could have shown up to work and done absolutely nothing in the writing room and just repeated what you did yesterday, and you would have been fine. But nope, got to reinvent the wheel. Like, okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Alberta.
Fuck it up in new and original ways. Let's go.
Yeah. Mark the Cyborg. With the rumor that Mass Effect 1 is getting an overhaul for the console remasters because it feels too old, think they'll retcon ammo blocks out? Oh, God. They probably will. I wouldn't be surprised.
Didn't they end up retconning the fucking thermal clips anyway because everyone refers to it as ammo? We got some ammo over here.
That's the meta. We call it ammo because technically it is ammo. It gives you an ammo counter. It's literally the calculation of how many shots you can fire before your thermal clip is useless, which means it's ammo. Yeah, it's so dumb. Anyway, I don't want to feel bad. Joe Crazy. Yeah, now I feel worse. Smud. That's not how ammo works. Yeah, I know. No one knows how ammo works. It's too stupid. Anyway, back to Star Wars. A less stupid. Well, maybe. I don't know. It depends. It's really hard to gauge which one's dumber.
It's fucking up in its own original way.
Yeah.
I can't even call it original, but Mass Effect was fucking up its own original way. It's in the same old way that everything is fucking up these days.
I would argue, though, that Mass Effect was heavily inspired by KOTOR. It was their original IP because they already made the first game. And they said, hey, we're going to do our own one. We're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to streamline all the shit out of it. We're going to do science fiction. We're going to do third-person shooter. We're going to do RPG. We're going to do all this stuff. It's like, okay. And they did. It was great. And then they...
I think that like you can see a lot of inspirations from a lot of things. Because not just KOTOR, but also like I think heavy Star Trek. But it's taking a lot of things and interweaving them and all that kind of stuff.
That's usually the case with the space opera genre, just as a genre, because it incorporates other genres, incorporates melodramatic elements. You could have a space opera be a romance. You could have it be an adventure, an action, a detective story. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's a setting. It's a futuristic scenario. It's all kinds of things. That's what's great about Star Wars. Is because it's high sci-fi or low science fiction, or not a hard science, but a soft science fiction rather. You can get away with crazy aliens and crazy technology that doesn't have to be explained very well. It just needs enough to know, oh, that's a gun, that's a spaceship, that's an elevator, this is that, and this is this, and this, and that is that. Like, that's all you need. With hard science fiction, you really have to watch your lore, which sadly, it's kind of like having Star Trek transition to Star Wars. That's what Mass Effect 1 is to Mass Effect 2. It's just this weird shift. And everyone's like, oh, this is new or something or weirder.
It was definitely trying to be more mainstream. Yeah. It's like, what's mainstream? Call of Duty and Halo. Yeah. Let's try and make it more like those games.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just silly.
But just randomly, I don't know what this is from, but in my, you ever just found something really strange in your chair? And it's strange. I found a bit of paper and it's got a Sheffield watermark on it. No idea where I fucking got it from, or why I have a blank piece of paper in my chair that has a Sheffield watermark.
And you're at home.
There it is.
You're at home now, Shiny.
No, but it's like, why is there a Sheffield bit of paper that says Sheffield in my fucking chair?
Is it golden embossed watermark, or is it just pressed onto the paper?
It's in bone.
It's in bone font? Okay.
It's even in was it beveled?
There. Ooh.
And it's an italic.
Okay. Here's Jake the Surgeon. What did I miss, you massive bundles of sticks? Yeah, just us bitching about another thing we shouldn't be bitching about. Let's get back to the video.
Part of the series, but take care to not make the series say and do the same thing over and over again. That just makes it feel limited. The Last Jedi...
Wow, like episode 7 did, except it ruined the pooch with the hero character. Fantastic.
I don't know why anyone defends episode 7, because there are those defenders out there, weirdly enough. It's how do you defend it? I don't understand. Because
it's fun. Because it's oh so fun, Shiny, to a lot of people, even though it's bad.
It's terrible. It's like, okay, yeah, you enjoyed it, but like, really? A New Hope all over again? And we got the not Death Star, we got the not Vader, we got not this and all that, and it's all just like a really terrible soft reboot as they just. Like this huge disc. I always struggle to call the sequel trilogy an actual sequel because of this huge disconnect. There is no continuation. If you were continuing with the same characters and you were continuing the same factions at the very least, but you're not even continuing the same factions because now we're with two completely different factions, which may as well be the factions we had before in the same state, almost like they've just hit a reset switch. And that reset switch is completely fucking retarded.
It is essentially a soft reboot. They didn't have to reboot anything, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
And you sat there going, "Oh, JJ's just playing it the dumbest, like not just the safest, but the dumbest way possible." Because
he gave it the Star Trek movie treatment.
Yes,
Star Trek 2009.
I did this 8 years ago. I can do it again. It's like, no, stop.
Don't do it, JJ. Put it down. Don't put it down, bad boy. Bad JJ, down.
It does get a bit too twisty at times, but alongside The Force Awakens, it did an exceptionally good job at giving us things we recognized, but fundamentally changing what they meant to this story and making it feel fresh. But ultimately, for all the new characters...
Yeah, because, having Princess Leia survive the vacuum of space was real fresh.
Mm-hmm. Very fresh.
It's a really good...
It's like a freezer. It's... when like freezers, they keep things fresh, and obviously space is very cold.
Yeah, it's also like a death sentence.
Like a ticking time bomb. Within 20 seconds, you're toast.
I remember I was watching a movie called Solace, and wasn't it like in the sun, like half your body is going to be above boiling point, and the other half is going to be below freezing.
So you're going to roast and freeze.
Frozen.
Yeah, there's no protection from solar radiation if there's a star nearby. So your skin would boil. First, all your air would just completely get lost from your body. If you
it has nowhere to. Oh, sorry, not like finish.
Yeah, so your lungs would just implode, and then you can't breathe. So for 20 seconds, after 20 seconds, you're just dead. Like you can't inhale. There's nothing to inhale, obviously. This thing facing the sun is just going to heat up to however hot that radiation. We're just not talking white light. We're talking the full spectrum of radiation, and the back of you is just going to freeze.
And there's no way because usually when heat hits you, your body can just let it diffuse into the air. So that's why you admit heat. It just goes off.
Your skin would expand, like your face would just blow up like a balloon. And I mean, maybe you'd pass out before that happens, but I don't know the exact numbers. But it like 20, 30 seconds tops. She was there for at least a minute. And
no, not a minute. She was out there for a long ass fucking time, like a huge chunk of the film.
But
Like,
she's fine
even
because the Force, right? The Force is okay. It's okay. The Force made her live. It's like, oh, really? Okay.
if we're going by film time, it must have been half an hour. But even then, the film likes to be a little bit liberal with time, so it could possibly be like a couple days. Probably fucking could have been a full day.
Jake the Surgeon, I just fused a cat with a cancer-infested emu.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Applaud my creation for being different. Oh.
It's new! Which
Emu
means...
Land. Gotta have you gotta go to Emu Land to see all the emus.
It's kind of like watching the the new Alien films, the Prometheus, where it's like, oh, look, violent birth of alien species. Fantastic.
Also, friggin'
I thought that
Prometheus.
was Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covenant at least was more of an alien film. Like they were actually, because Prometheus is like, should we make it look alien? We'll just looks and designs. We'll throw it out the fucking window. Who needs law? Who needs to be visually consistent? And then at least Covenant tried to be visually consistent, and it tried to walk back a lot of the shit that had with Prometheus.
Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, they.
Characters and that were introduced, the sequel trilogy ends on a note of pure repetition, and I think the trilogy will mostly be remembered for being pretty much the same story we got 40 years ago. Although we did...
Episode 9 is like what we got 40 years ago? Whoa.
Well, I think for the most part, the trilogy
The
as
basic
a whole,
outline is the same.
He's making it like it's purely based on Rise of Skywalker. I'd say no, but I would kind of agree that a lot of what's happening in the sequel trilogy is just the original trilogy, and it's like, yeah, we're doing this again. We've got a lot of the plot points, in there. We're just kind of doing the same thing, and everything that came before may as well to fucking skip that. You could skip the original trilogy, and you'd basically miss nothing.
There's also the thing of like Star Wars is essentially just built into the collective zeitgeist and the cultural consciousness. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people really don't like the Aragon series, because Aragon is essentially the original Star Wars trilogy with Dragon Riders. That is the main difference. It's basically just an aesthetic change with a few differences, but the major plot points are those of New Hope Empire and Return of the Jedi, with a literal Emperor's throne room showdown between a dude with a red sword and a dude with a blue sword.
I think if we got more episode 6 and less episode 9 in our episode 9, a lot of people would be like, hey, that was okay.
It would have been less bad.
Yeah.
It would have been less bad.
Get porgs, so I can't complain too much. So with future Star Wars movies, take the plunge, make brave choices, and stick with them, because those choices...
Here's an idea. Don't make brave choices. Play it safe and know how to write basic stories, and then go, oh yeah, I'm doing Star Wars.
Choices. Make smart choices.
Yeah, no. If JJ was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, let's just look at episode 4 and say, okay, I can copy that. Let's not have a stupid-ass character who's so powerful and she doesn't know why. Let's not have all these characters that run around and do nothing. Let's not have, approaching a planet at light speed bullshit. Let's just stop doing that. Stop trying to do things you don't understand and just tell a decent story with drama and action. That's basically all you need to do.
Well, I would say that, writing a well-written story is a pretty safe bet. It's a pretty safe thing to do, to write a good story. Because generally good stories can be generally they're well received. Just write a story well. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, just don't even
the idea of something being safe or dangerous.
Yeah, but don't even worry.
It doesn't. It's very arbitrary, and it's only really relevant in terms of in terms of audience perception, because there's a lot of things audience might like or dislike, but we're talking about the film in terms of quality here, and that doesn't really come into anything.
But if you're trying to play it safe, and if you don't know the lore very well, or you know people are going to get pissed off who know the story better than you do, don't focus on the franchise. Don't focus on the genre even. Don't even touch space opera. Just tell a story which is agnostic to genre and say, I'm just going to tell a story about characters who are trying to get to X. And then figure out the details later by asking someone else. Say, hey, what does a gun do? Can it blow up? Does it need to get recharged? Like, what does it do? Then you just add that detail when it needs to be there, and just keep going if you want to keep going. Like, don't do it that way. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to reinvent FTL. I'm going to reinvent how the Force works. I'm going to create a new Force. It's like, stop it. Don't even touch that stuff. Do what you're good at, which I think JJ is great at camera work and integrating CGI without going over the top. I think we saw that with the Star Trek movies he made. Lots of fast cuts. He knows how to set a scene, but that's it. I don't know anything else he's good at. And if you want to play it safe, that was his mentality, because we thought that was what he did in episode 7. He's like, all right, he's playing it safe. And then he adds a Mary Sue. And then the whole thing gets derailed. And then you have a wannabe. Well, I guess Kylo was original. That was his thing. That was a.
He's kind of Vader 2.0.
It's kind of a mix of Vader and Anakin in a lot of ways. They just up the whiny factor.
That's fine.
He's whiny Vader.
That's fine. That's totally fine. He's not unbelievable, is what the problem is. With Rey, with Luke, with some of these other characters, you're like, okay, DJ, can you really hack anything? You're just this random dude they happen to find.
I would disagree, because I think that it doesn't make for a very good villain because now we've got the problem with a lot of villains these days where they're just mad and they're unhinged. At any moment they could just be uncontrolled and really get at you. It's like, well, what happens to all the we used to have villains which were controlled and precise, and they didn't show any kind of weakness. If they were going to attack you or harm you in any way, it would be because they wanted to do it, not because they were following just some sudden urge to kill. Abundantly, and that can make people a lot more dangerous than just someone attacking because they're like, oh, emotions, hi, I'm angry, let's go kill. Or I'm just crazy.
Well, the psychotic I'm crazy defense is actually okay in some regards.
Oh, but in terms of Kylo Ren, it's just, oh, I'm angry all the time. At any point, I can just become unhinged.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Here's Jake the Surgeon. Smud, you poor Canadian. JJ is fantastic at key jingling with blinding lens flares. That's the one thing I don't really like, actually. I don't like the lens flares. I think...
also the...
What? Who ever thought the lens flares were a good idea?
I don't think Stanley Kubrick pioneered them. Like, the first thing he showed was like...
Lens flare.
What was it? Like 2001: A Space Odyssey? Yeah, lens well as like
lens flares. It's like anything, because there's lots of things you can put on the camera to make it look more cinematic. And lens flares are something which you occasionally throw on the camera lens in a specific scene where it makes sense to add a lens flare, and it can make it look nice. But the thing is, with these small little imperfections you add to make, because often in film you will add grain to your footage to make it a little bit more hazy, and it adds this cinematic effect. It's just a small bit of grain to the scene, and you barely even notice it. But too much grain and looks fucking awful. So you have to add the right amount. And what it was with the J.J. Abrams in Star Trek, it was the same, pretty much like, again, with the grain explanation, just upping the grain to 100. The whole screen is just grain. That's what he did with lens flares. He just, lens flares fucking everywhere. Just lens flare for you, on that light, on every light source, and it'll make it look really futuristic and cool and sexy.
Here's Jake the Surgeon again. I also have you know, half naked, what's her face in Into Darkness was a fantastic touch. I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't.
You haven't seen Darkness.
Who?
They brought. I can't remember her name now either. But I think she's the character from Wrath of Khan.
Message coming in.
Carol
love interest.
Patching it through.
Yeah.
They just made her hot.
Yeah, they made her really hot, and she has a shirtless scene where she's in her panties because reasons. And then they kind of forgot about her and Beyond.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Honestly,
when asked, they said, "Oh, we kind of forgot about her when we made the script, but we didn't want to throw her in there because we didn't have anything for her to do."
Yeah.
She was that forgettable.
Yeah.
Why are they throwing Kirk's love interest in there, and when she's obviously his subordinate?
Can be what define a new story and give new life to a series, rather than that series being defined by what it does over and over again. I think we can all admit that Star Wars is a bit simple on the story side of things, which isn't a bad thing at all. But what really makes the original trilogy memorable is the characters bringing that story to life. Story and character should be a give-and-take relationship. Story should inform character and vice versa.
Not necessarily. The story should always give to the audience, but he means the story should inform the character? Why?
I think I kind of just put story and character in the same box, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, certain stories can't reveal everything all at once, but you could have stories where the characters are completely in the dark. You could have stories where everything's revealed all at once. That happens too with Vonnegut. So, I mean, why one and not the other? Why is it a give and take? I want the audience to know everything they need to know for that plot at the time. I don't want to be told the answer in a murder mystery the first 10 minutes. It's like, that's not good.
It might be getting to semantics here, but I kind of, the way I see characters is that they're part of the story, not like the story. When you're talking about story, it's including the characters.
You need characters in a story. If you don't have characters in a story, you're doing a documentary, or you're doing a bunch of inanimate objects, or I don't know. Like, plots come from characters. So when we say the argument, well, is a character-driven story or a plot-driven story, it's the same thing. You're saying exactly the same thing.
Well, I suppose is it like based off of character? When you say is it based off of characters, we're talking about a story which revolves more around the character than, let's say, oh look, all of a sudden they go on this space adventure and they go out into space and they do space things.
Like, I guess an example of a plot-driven film would be something like Tenet, where Tenet is very plot-driven as opposed to character-driven. It just barely came out this year. You don't have to worry about it.
No, I haven't seen it, but I always listen to these people. Like, I want them to define the term plot, and I want them to understand where it comes from, what it means. Because as soon as they define that, you can't say it is more this or that, because it's the same thing. The difference is we think of character-driven stories. Oh, this is a contemporary scenario. The plot is not, or a slice of life genre. The plot is not relevant because we're focusing on the day-to-day. And the day-to-day is just some person doing their thing. And that's fine, but then we're telling a different story. We're in a different genre, so we're not even talking about that. Whenever you talk about a mainstream or a blockbuster, the plot is very clear. There's one character or a group of people who have something to do, and they're doing it for a good reason. The reason could be evil, the reason could be noble, but the good reason is a clear reason, and we understand it's coming from a motivation of virtue or whatever. It doesn't matter, so long as we know what it is. And that's it. And then we could say, well, it focuses more on character and their background and motivation. That's still plot. That's all it is. Now, people don't define plot that way, and that's fine. You ask them, what is your definition of plot? If it's just the progression of a story, that's fine too. I'm not going to belittle them for being a simplistic definition. It works fine. But these are things that drive me nuts because he uses these terms like, oh, yeah, no problem. This is, there's a plot. It's like, okay, what's a plot? Like, I want people to criticize films with a glossary at the start of their video so I know where they're coming from. Because every time I hear that, I'm like, no, you're wrong. No. Define it. Use your words properly. Anyway, I wrote a book about the whole thing, so don't worry about me. I got out of my system a long time ago. Tyler Preston, so you're saying that J.J. Abrams is Michael Bay? Yes. No.
The way I view the two, I think they are pretty much the political mirrors of each other. Because it's all just sensational, even like to the point where J.J. Abrams used to do a lot of objectifying and sexualization in his films. Don't kill me. I'm using those terms ironically. Like in his films, he used to
fan service.
He had a lot of fan service, just like Michael Bay. And it's all about explosions. It's all about action. It's all about fast pace, and it's not like the story doesn't matter. It's all just jingling keys to stop you from actually thinking about the films. In that sense, they are exactly the fucking same, just the opposite political.
Yeah, since I actually think that JJ just turned it down because Disney is a family-friendly place that doesn't go in for fan service.
No, I think he turned it down for political reasons.
The movie that does this the most effectively of the sequel trilogy is The Last Jedi. That story is deeply character-driven, while the other two are
it is plot-driven. Otherwise, because it's trying to get to a one person. Well, it's been. But I'd say that like The Last Jedi is trying really hard to get its characters into a specific point.
Yes.
And he wanted them to be a crate. And it's kind of a weird mix because I wouldn't say it's because there's a lot of dumb character decisions throughout that kind of drive the story, but it's all focusing toward crate. All roads lead to crate. It's like Rome, only it's salt.
Yeah, I would ask for what he defines specifically as a character-driven story, because it's all
message coming in.
I'm trying to think of what really motivates the plot. So you have fuel, a hacker, because obviously you need to go to Canterbury to get the hacker, then they go to ship, hyperspace tracker, Kylo needing to be saved, I guess.
So
that's the closest you get to some like the reason why Rey does that is because she's personally motivated to do that. But
so I found something NY book readers like, what is the difference between a plot?
Well, I'm asking what he would define, because like I would have to ask what he means by that specifically, because I don't think what he calls a character-driven story, everyone else would call a character-driven story, and I would ask where in the film is it character-driven.
Here's Jake the Surgeon. Michael Bay at least understands what women are. Does he? I'm trying to.
I think he's making a sexism joke where they're all just objects to stare at.
Do their breasts explode? Is that what happens in Michael Bay films?
No, they just are wearing barely anything at all, and at least one of them is introduced with a shot of her butt.
It's all crotch shots and butt shots and short shorts and tight skirts. Well, and cleavage and more butt shots.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. So a character-driven story is focused on studying the characters that make up the story. Character-driven stories can deal with inner transformation or the relationships between characters. In a character-driven story, the plot is used to develop the character.
That's exactly the same definition.
Yeah.
No, I'm surprised in Michael Bay films there wasn't like a sexy Transformer.
Ooh.
Like Transformer that's female, and she's basically just her thing is painted to look like a bikini.
They just did like RC, but RC has like a really metal bikini.
Didn't we watch that Lindsay Ellis video where she shows some of the female Transformers in Michael Bay films? There's only like a few of them.
Yeah, there's like one or something.
Oh, there's only one.
There's the bike girls. There's the Transformers, which are bikes.
Doesn't the bike girl merge into one Transformer or something?
Ooh.
It's not.
I don't know. I can't tell if one of them if they die because it's in the second film.
For sure, they die, and the second one's so bad. But we should probably just keep going back to the video.
Yeah,
because I never really knew if they actually did die or not.
Oh, this is a strange super chat. Jake, have Bay make an hentai. It would be the most autistic and glorious thing in animation. Asking someone to do like a Harlequin romance or a porn is like, oh dear, I don't know. How do you start with Michael Bay?
Let's just not and say it happened.
Yeah, let's just not think about it. Okay? It's like Michael Bay and porn. Like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay.
No, like no, just no. Whole bucket of no.
Leave it to the professionals, guys, not Michael Bay. All right.
Definitely more driven. They've got to do the Star Wars thing, so they go from one Star Wars thing to the next Star Wars thing. And yes, The Force Awakens is functionally A New Hope, but what the new characters bring to that story make it shine in completely different ways. And in a story that's so
really?
strongly tied to legacy,
with this.
repetition makes sense. Also, I don't think I can overstate how much the cast brought to these characters, especially Adam Driver, I love. What I really noticed on this rewatch, though, were the little moments, the moments between action and plot development. Where
You mean the Star Wars moments?
You're talking about J.J. Abrams, who is renowned for not having character moments and just quickly moving over and over again to stop you from actually thinking about the fucking film, which is exactly what he does in Rise of Skywalker and Force Awakens.
John Lemley, hello.
Character moments. Rey looks at an old woman. Great.
No, that's a Star Wars thing.
Character. That's
a Star Wars thing. It's not a Rey thing. What are you talking about?
Great character moment where Rey looks at an old woman. Other great character moment where Kylo Ren says, "I'll finish what you started" to Darth Vader's mask. Another great character moment. Who the fuck knows?
We never got to know what the heck Kylo meant by finishing whatever grandfather started.
That was never fucking finished. Because the Lord of the Mystery Boxes was forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like how they forgot about the Knights of Ren. And they really needed to remind you who they were in the film. Knights of Ren. Cool.
Yeah, it's even worse because like it says in the subtitles, ghouls.
Really? I thought they said cool.
No, it says ghouls.
Ghouls?
What?
Yep.
No.
You're kidding.
No, come on, Dunn. That can't be right.
Surely, like...
I wish I were BSing you.
What?
But it's the truth.
I want a screen
it's in
cap.
the subtitles when you...
What evidence?
Like,
Give me evidence.
I let me find the screenshot of Disney Plus.
Oh boy, get a screen cap, please. But we'll keep going while you're doing that. John Lemley, Big Boss never died. Yeah, you're totally correct. If you're talking about the original Metal Gear, and until Metal Gear Solid 4, rather, that's when he actually dies. So that was the big reveal. He's still alive. Yeah.
Found it.
Are you sure it's not a joke?
It's not a joke. Evan noticed it as well.
Wow.
It's like when you watch the actual movie on Disney Plus with subtitles, it says ghouls.
Ghouls? Fucking ghouls.
Oh.
I gotta see this.
Did they redub that? They realize how much they did as stupid and went over it, and because they definitely said cool. Because now it seems like they're saying ghouls, like
Message coming
it's
in.
this.
Patching it through.
I don't know. Yeah, I know it sounds like it, but they're actually saying ghouls for some reason.
I've never heard of that.
They definitely said cool.
It's in the subtitles. Like,
no, they definitely said cool. They didn't fucking say ghouls. No, that's bullshit.
What does that even mean?
Well, yeah, that wouldn't even make sense where they're just saying Knights of Ren, ghouls. The fuck? What about Jeff?
Sandworms.
Yeah,
Eskimos.
It's really, really bad. Like, even the subtitles of this movie are asinine.
I can't believe that's a thing.
Yeah, I can't either. It's hilarious.
Okay, we gotta keep going.
Great character moment. 10 out of 10. Would say fuck you again.
I gotta Google ghouls and the Rise of Sky just to see if that's what is.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Okay. John Lemley. Wait. Did I skip one? I think I did. The Knights of Ren are Muslims now if they're ghouls. What? Wait a second. What are you talking about?
Because ghouls is the version of vampires in Arabic tradition.
Really? Oh.
They basically, like, they're crypt-dwelling creatures that come out to eat the souls of people who wander into their domain.
Oh,
That's essentially how it works.
Fun.
Zombies.
Yeah.
So John,
pretty much. A ghoul is basically a zombie. Yeah.
Message coming in.
Ghouls.
Patching it through.
Ghouls? More like fools. Am I right? I don't know. I honestly think someone's playing a fast one at Netflix.
Too, but it's so weird that it's like on the English subtitled version.
Are you sure it wasn't like a
ghouls.
machine? It wasn't a machine translation that did that?
No, like in
I think it
in
probably
stuff like
was
this on Disney Plus. It's all typed out. It's because why the fuck would they not just type it out? Why would there be automatic generation? I understand that for YouTube, but here it has to be Disney Plus, like written down.
Yeah.
Because they have the script.
Oh boy.
Which is like, it was when I first watched it with my family for free on Disney Plus because it's my sister's subscription. And my family wanted to watch it, and I was just like writing my book while I was watching it, so I was bored. I'm like, oh, so everything it was said was true. Great.
Oh wait, if you actually go to the Knights of Ren on StarWars.fandom.com, it references ghouls. It says Knights of Ren, ghouls. Yeah. Their presence was noticed by several onlookers, including one stormtrooper who referred to the Knights of Ren as ghouls to a fellow trooper. It's official. Holy crap. I thought JJ was just trying to be like trite and simple, make a fast scene so people are like, ooh, the Knights of Ren are back. Ghoul. I gotta watch that scene one more time just to jeez. All right, this is just derailing the video, but we gotta get back to it. Linkensky, Hollywood movie equals contextless exposition. Yeah. Sorry, let's keep going.
Characters had time to breathe, and we got a sense of who they were.
These characters had no... what do you have time to breathe? She sat around feeling lonely so that she could touch Kylo Ren through her mind connection. And then she ran away because...
finger sex.
Luke didn't want to come with her to help people. That's it. That was her character moment. Everything else, we learned nothing. She learned nothing. Her parents were nobodies. Wow.
Nothing.
Great reveal. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing matters. Thanks, Ryan. I could have figured that out without watching the film.
When I think ghouls in Star Wars, I don't know why, I can't remember the name of them, but there was it reminds me of the zombie creatures from Night KOTOR. Like, in terms of context of Star Wars, because I keep thinking, I can't remember the names of them, but it's like you're bitten by one and then you slowly turn into the monsters they are.
Really?
And I can't for the life of me remember their fucking name.
Oh, is that on the space station where they had those the lower...
on the planet.
Was it a planet?
On Taris.
Oh,
Taris.
I thought it was those weird giants
City. On
the station of the lower decks, and they're all poisonous.
Rat ghouls, that's it.
Message coming in.
That's why I keep thinking of them. Of ghouls. It's like, why do I keep thinking of those creatures? What are they called? Rat ghouls.
Huh. All right. Well, that's again. My brain is like, wow. How did this happen? Oh no! More super chats. Jar Jar did nothing wrong. Changed my mind. What? What are you talking about?
By giving the power over to the Emperor, I think is what he's talking about.
Okay. Well, when you watch the Jar Jar in any of the iterations, he's always doing random, insane stuff, and he wins the day. Which I really
Random,
hate.
incoherent, juvenile crap happens. Things explode, and somehow Jar Jar doesn't die.
Yeah. Happened in the Clone Wars. Happened in the movies.
We don't talk about those Jar Jar episodes.
Oh, okay.
Like they're on Rhodia, and that episode didn't happen. We don't talk about Boba Jedi.
Yeah.
Their archetypes. And a big reason why The Rise of Skywalker feels so flat is because the characters don't really matter to the story. They just move through it and change and motivated, but we
never mattered
Star
to begin
Wars
with.
Like redemption and Jedi and lightsaber. And also Finn was doing something. Probably John Boyega, I'm so sorry, you didn't deserve this. There's also
I think John Boyega was also complaining about TLJ. I don't think he was just complaining about Rise of Skywalker. And the thing is, I think like Rise of Skywalker is quotation marks, just as character orientated, because like I don't even think any of these films are that character orientated. It's like the rest of the films. So I don't know what measurement he's really using here to say that they're different, because they're all just chasing after reason. Hey, look, fuel or MacGuffin or knife or time or hacker or space tracker or whatever. BB-8 has plans.
Yeah.
Or thing.
Most of the development in The Last Jedi, the worst of which actively works against the characters.
You are a Palpatine.
I don't see the reveal of Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter as a character moment. I see it as a move to try to give the story an emotional undercurrent it doesn't really need and create
okay.
Really?
It's still a character moment. It's just a shit one. Because you can't say it's not a character moment, because it's very obviously trying to be a character moment. The whole scene is a moment where it stays still. It's having this revelation. It's supposed to give more depth to her character. It just doesn't. It's a terrible scene. It makes no fucking sense.
How is it an emotional connection, though? How are we emotionally connected to Palpatine from Episode 6?
I guess because it's kind of her at her lowest point, even though like poor Daisy Ridley doesn't have any material to act with. and like is given really bad directions. I don't think she's bad. I think she's been given like terrible material.
I don't see the connection, but okay, that's weird.
Connection was unnecessary to finish the saga. Rey already had a connection with the main villain. The main villain was Kylo
Made no
Ren,
fucking
but
sense.
instead, somehow Palpatine returned, and he's her grandfather now, which means someone slept with this, which I never want to think about again. But even worse than that mental image is the fact that Rise of Skywalker roots every single character so firmly in the past, even the ones who don't need to be. The Last Jedi put every main character through the ringer to give them a new sense of identity.
Really? Poe went through the ringer?
Dude, went through the ringer to give them a new sense of identity. That's BS. It's false.
He's the same guy.
Fucking sense. He saved the resistance at the beginning of the film, and it's like, oh, you did a terrible thing, and he gets demoted. It's like, oh, you got everyone
even though he
dead,
did the right thing.
Even though
that
whole fucking scene made no sense, though. It's like Leia just gives up on their plan for no fucking reason, despite that. Okay, so she sent him out there to do half the job. And it's like, great, you've done half the job to allow, the next part of the job to finish it off. But we're not going to do that. It's like, wait, what? Leia?
She was so awesome. She saw another solution, and she just went with it because she thought she could turn Kylo Ren to the light side. But oops, Holdo blew up the ship, and everything exploded, which caused her to run away successfully. Like, whoa. Okay. Lucky Rey.
It's so terrible.
It's all terrible.
Yeah. Here's Linkensky. Fans need to let go of the past equals emotion. I don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't have an emotional connection to Pal. I don't think anyone does. How do you have an emotional connection to this evil dude?
I guess liking a villain, maybe.
He's a
if you're talking about
goofy
meta.
old dude. It's all he is. He's vaporized. Now he's back.
Yeah.
Like, that's silly. It's corny. Makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's a dumb idea.
That's the only emotion I got is like, that's silly. That's a silly thing to think about. He survived. Oh, no. He only just survived that. It wasn't him. It was someone else. It was a double. It was a clone. Like, okay. That's silly. John Lemley. Rey being a Kenobi would have been better than her being a Palpatine because that would at least mean there would be an actually new Episode 9 villain.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Like if Obi-Wan Sparrow was the bad guy, that doesn't make any sense. That'd
maybe if Kylo was the villain, then.
I'm confused by the comment, John. Maybe try to explain stuff a little better because I'm not quite sure how making Kenobi Rey's parent or grandparent would have meant there was a new villain, because I think they added Palpatine in, and then they decided, oh, well, we'll make Rey the granddaughter of Palpatism because reasons.
I'm trying to think about this. It's like, I guess if Kylo was still the bad guy, that could work still. Yeah, okay. They face off against the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren aren't just a bunch of pushovers. That could work too, yeah. Kylo still dies. Rey still brings him back to life. Vice versa.
Yep. Yep.
Could still work.
Yep.
And then in Rise of Skywalker, nobody can function without the presence of the old characters. I thought the idea of Rey being nobody was really intriguing. This notion that you don't have to be from some powerful family to matter.
Fuck's sake, here we go.
Yeah, no, it's genealogy, guys. It's all about the genes.
You never needed the fucking gene to be a Force user. You fucking needed training. Oh,
it's
God.
Spiritual. It's not physical, guys. Until Episode 1 changed it, so yeah.
John Lemley says, I'm mentioning fish. I'm mentioning fish, but at least that way Palpatine would have either needed a better reason to be there or wouldn't be a villain at all.
Oh, I see. Okay. He's talking about Maggie May and her idea that Kenobi was supposedly the having an affair. So
yeah, that part, the weird shipping.
Yeah, whatever weird relationship.
Oh no, I don't think it's that at all, because then that would be kind of incestuous. I think she was saying that because the Rey being a Kenobi thing has been a theory in the fandom for a long ass fucking time. I don't think it's the whole crazy theory about, Kenobi boinking Padme.
I still find the theories of Snoke being this or that funny to Rian Johnson, that he just says it's all bullshit, like he doesn't care. And then
we told you this thing was important and to create expectations, and then we told you we were stupid for creating these expectations.
And then JJ's like, no, it's really a clone of Palpatine. It's like, what? Really?
Everyone's a clone. You're a clone.
Would he have laughed at JJ?
And Rey's father was a clone.
Yeah, would Ryan have laughed at JJ for recommending it? It's like, yeah, he would have.
I think even though that Ryan was like, JJ was like throwing up the middle finger to Ryan the whole time and saying like, look what I did to your movie. It's Ryan's kind of chuckling. It's like, dang, you made a movie so bad that it actually makes mine look better by comparison.
Yeah.
But anyway, cloning was obviously a dark secret that only the Sith knew.
Not a bunch of tall, thin aliens on a water planet. That never happened.
Water planet, they were obviously just a planet full of Sith.
Yeah, the Clone Wars was just an idea. It wasn't really a thing.
It's social
dark magic.
Everyone forgot about that war 4 years ago. Yeah, it never really happened.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, we've already fucking talked to death how stupid the idea is that, it's like, oh, The Last Jedi says that you don't need special blood, so you have force powers. Ooh. Audible sigh.
But then Leia had a baby. And he had force powers. Must be Skywalker blood.
There's so many fucking characters in Star Wars that don't have special blood, and they have the Force. Obi-Wan, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Mace Windu.
Every single Jedi. Every single Sith. Except for Leia, Kylo, and Luke. Those are the only ones we know that have force powers from supposedly their father.
My father has it. My sister has it. My mother has it. My next door neighbor has it. R2 has it. The mouse droid that cleans my floor has it. I also gave it to my ex-girlfriends. And she gave it to her boyfriend. Yep.
Come from anywhere. Really inspiring message. Nope, never mind. It's actually because she inherited the Emperor's powers. This whole franchise has been about these two families, and nothing else matters in the entire galaxy. Rey suddenly being a Palpatine not only makes the plot of Rise of Skywalker more contrived, it also undercuts the qualities and power that Rey had as a character in her own right.
Okay, let's take away the fact that she's a Palpatine. The movie's still damn contrived, okay? Everything just happens to work out.
It takes away the power that Rey has in her own right. What? It's a desperate attempt to try and explain the fucking power she has.
Her Mary Sue abilities suddenly generate force lightning for whatever reason. Oh, it must be Palpatine. How do you know that? Does anyone know how Rey works? No one does. She's broken all the rules. We don't know why she has force lightning. She can do anything. She didn't train for anything. It might make logical sense that she can have Force lightning, but isn't that a Sith power? She wasn't trained as a Sith. She was trained for a year as a Jedi.
Not making logical sense.
It's just silly.
Stop being such a fucking fanboy.
Yeah, I'm a fanboy of Star Wars, right? Yeah.
Stop being a fucking fan. Big shit. You're being all biased.
I don't know.
Didn't you watch Star Wars?
I don't know if I've. The only thing I've bought. The only thing I've bought that was Star Wars related back in the day was X-Wing and TIE Fighter, the games back in the 90s.
Well, not fucking KOTOR. What fake fan are you?
Well, I'm talking back in the day. The quarter is like 2000s. That's somewhat recent.
20 years ago ain't recent.
KOTOR to me is pretty fresh in my mind.
How?
Because now she's just a legacy piece for good and evil to fight over. We already had one of those, and he's a Skywalker. That's what they're for. So, prioritizing plot and Star Wars moments over the development and personalities of the characters as established just...
Well, it's called The Rise of Skywalker. He is a Skywalker. That's fine. I don't know which story you want to tell. The Rise of Palpatine? What do you want? What's your argument here? I mean, this is all shit, arguing which is less shit, so I don't know what he's trying to say.
This pile of shit is better than this pile of shit.
This is less shitty over here.
It's like saying this pile of shit stinks because there's there's a pile of shit next to it. It's like, no, it stunk from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that like it's just what breed of animal it came from is the main difference.
His name is Kylo Ren. Okay, it's not Skywalker. Okay, it's not the Rise of Kylo Ren.
Makes them feel cogs in a machine they have no control over or investment in. It's just stuff they're doing because they're the good guys. They're basically action figures. Don't force the characters to adhere to what you think the story has to be. Let the characters forge a new path, because if the writing's good enough, they'll already be doing that. Like I said, people recognize repetition, so the best thing to do when breathing new life into a franchise...
What a strange statement. People recognize repetition. It's like, yeah, it's true. The sun rises and sets, yeah, we recognize that.
So he's not saying that in order you need to break those by subverting expectations.
Well, it's like saying episode 7.
But the thing is, stories don't have to be cycles. Like, it's just that, the sequels decided to be a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They could have told 2 movies. They could have told 4. They could have told 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. The difference is, there's a difference between lifting something as an inspiration, saying, I really liked Pablo Picasso's Guernica. I love the style he he drew it in, the ideas in it. I'm going to do a similar fresco, but not in Cubism style. I'm going to use I don't know, Matisse. I'm going to use some other artist, and I'm going to do about pets. I'm going to do love for an animal as opposed to killing and having a bunch of bulls being slaughtered. Fine. That'd be interesting. Try it out. See if it works. If you know how to paint in Matisse's style, if you actually like Impressionism and you're good at it, then go for it. You know what you're talking about. But if you can't actually paint, and if you didn't understand Guernica or Matisse, don't touch anything. Don't even go near it. Oh, episode 7, really, really obvious copy of episode 4. What'd you do differently? Well, make it repetitive and they'll like it. Like, why? Because they're used to it. It's like, no. Did you just argue things have to be creative and different? Which one is it? Both? You can't do both. One or the other. It's similar but also different. It makes me feel the same, but also I'm unfamiliar with it. Like, okay. I hate these vague ideas for writing. Copy the masters, but don't do it all the way. Like, what do you mean?
like this is to simply treat it like a new starting point. You can pay homage to the old movies, bring back old characters, rehash some plot points, but it should be treated as a new beginning more than just a new chapter. I understand from a business and a creative perspective why The Force Awakens echoed so much of A New Hope. It was supposed to be a nostalgia trip, a reminder of what people loved about this franchise before moving the characters down a new path. The Last Jedi moved down that path exceptionally well, and then somehow Palpatine returned and they all had to fight him and his planet-destroying superweapon again. I know that Rise of Skywalker was trying to wrap up all 9 episodes, but hear me out. It should have prioritized coherently ending the trilogy it was a part of first. A trilogy that, yes, started out by being rooted very deeply in the past, but also wasn't afraid to go in new directions and apply new ideas. Rise of Skywalker, on the other hand, almost feels allergic to new ideas, aside from the usual aesthetic ones that result in more toys. And by the time it...
Wait. You're trying to tell me Pathfinders and magical daggers and healing snakes, these aren't new ideas? These are really new ideas. They're retarded, but they're still new ideas. Is he arguing it's not original enough? Really?
Ends, the story's only concern is how it fits into what came before it, except it ignored the core steps of its own story. Man, if only there was a character in these movies who existed to show the dangers of blindly adhering to the expectations of an overwhelming legacy.
Whoa.
Oh, go.
What yourself. That is not Luke Skywalker at all. He doesn't... He's not so far up his ass that all of a sudden he thinks he can do no wrong, so therefore he tries to kill his fucking nephew.
Plus, he tried to be a Jedi Master to students. It failed. And instead of going, oh, the demands of being a Jedi Master are so hard, I must run away now. No, he just says, I'm running away because I felt shame. That has nothing to do... He didn't say, oh, it's so hard being a Jedi Master.
I came here to die.
I can't do it. Everyone's expecting me to be this or that. It's like, no, you didn't. You just ran away because you felt shame.
That's not in the film, where like he did this because of the expectations.
He never said, Rey, I can't do that. I can't go back with you because they're going to expect me to do this and that. It's like, no, he just doesn't want to do it. He wants to die.
Do you want me to go out there with a laser sword and take down the entire First Order?
Yeah, he's making fun of the whole idea. It's like, he doesn't care. He's not taking it seriously.
Maybe 2 of them, grounding both the characters and the stories.
What expectations does Kylo have of being a part of the First Order? Or the Sith, or whatever the hell Snoke wants of him. We don't even know what Snoke wants. Does Kylo know what the Sith are? I'm assuming he trained under Snoke, so he knows something. But I don't recall any idea where, the expectations. He did exactly what Snoke wanted. He killed his father. And then Snoke gets angry because he didn't do it right or whatever.
You failed!
He did everything Snoke wanted.
A girl that never held a lightsaber.
And then he kills him. For some reason, he had the ability to do that. I guess Snoke was just not paying attention. He's like, okay, Snoke sucks.
Yeah,
Like, what? And then he goes all nihilistic on us. It's like, oh, it's all stupid. Just burn it all. Like, what? Doesn't mean anything. Oh boy, Dancing Garrus, thanks Fritz. Here's the greatest lesson to learn from the Disney Star Wars creations: destroy them and let nothing remain.
Sometimes a house is so infested by termites, it's not only kill the termites, but demolish the house and start again.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if we're quite there yet, but boy golly, is it probably getting there soon.
Yeah, apparently the second season of Mandalorian's not being received too well. Running out of steam?
I think it's probably running out of steam with audience in terms of no one fucking cares anymore. But the first episode was all right. It's like it's cool action, yeah. It's cool cinematography, cool CGI, and it's nothing abysmal. It's just nothing that, but it's like in terms of writing, it's nothing fantastic. It's just cool action.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool action. Can I have some substance, please?
Yeah.
It's like a meal that's all dessert. It's like, fuck. Why have you turned me into?
Dessert. It's a rotten
Smudge,
dessert,
you've turned me into food analogies.
You're just hungry, Shiny. I just think
works
that's
really well.
I think that's what it comes down to. You love food, and you're realizing that right now, and you're hungry or something. I don't know.
The first episode isn't by any means rotten. Again, I think the only thing you have to say about it, it's not terrible. It's just not fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, it looks cool. It's like, oh, great, you have like a crate dragon. It's like, oh, cool, crate dragon. Oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. And you have cool action, and you have cool this, and you have cool that, and you have Boba Fett, but he's not Boba Fett, but then you have Boba Fett.
All right, that's as much as I know. So, thank you, Shiny.
So firm in the past, even after both had moved beyond it, just makes the franchise as a whole feel limited, and the spin-offs didn't help. And I know that a lot of this video is just me relaying how Rise of Skywalker dropped the ball, and if you saw it as a satisfying conclusion to a 9-film arc, then cool, I'm glad you got that. But if you look at the two films that it's most closely connected to, the destination doesn't match the journey, and what could have been a fresh start for this series just feels like a tired retread. Don't just let the past die, but don't let the future be defined solely by the past, because then you're just moving backwards.
What?
This one's a little tricky. I mean, when you're making a giant blockbuster series like this, you can't ignore the fans. That's who you want to win over. So yeah, don't ignore them. But don't listen to them. Star Wars...
Okay, I
don't listen to fans.
What the hell? What are you talking about?
Just don't.
Don't ignore the fans, but don't listen to the fans, guys.
Just ignore them.
Just walk into the room and just plug your ears. What are you talking about?
Come on. But Rian Johnson did everything he could to try and subvert the meta, even if it didn't make sense for the fucking story. Because again, everything in TLJ revolves around the meta. It doesn't revolve around the last film. Because in the last film, Rey fucking got over her thing about the parents. But you know who really cared about the parents? The fucking audience. Because they tried to desperately cling on to some kind of reason or explanation of why she's so powerful. It was any desperate cling. And then, all of a sudden, Rey, because the audience cares about it, Rey cares about it.
Remember that?
And then they subvert that.
Remember that
and
wonderful...
then because... there's the fans who have Reylo stuff. Rian Johnson goes, Reylo stuff, I can subvert that. And then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, they're like totally fine with each other. And then they grow closer. And then it's like, join me. So, and then Rey's like, I want to hold your hand, but I want Ben's hand, not yours. Ben, no. Don't do it. It's like he's not Ben. You never knew him as Ben. So fuck off.
I'm trying to remember that the scene from Gladiator where he's taught to win the crowd. That he's really, really good at fighting, but he has to put on a show to entertain the crowd. They're not there to watch him kill people. They're there to see the drama of the mythos of those actors, because they're fighting to the death, but it's all an act. It's all a stage production that involves real life consequences, of course. And then we learn about his past. He announces who he is, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's him! It's the guy from the war that we thought were dead." And he's here to seek revenge and all this drama. And I think what the guy should have said was, "Yeah, you shouldn't listen to them completely, but you still have to give them what they want. That's why they're there. That's why they bother to buy a ticket. They want to see what they think a Star Wars movie is. And you have to give them that baseline of what the other Star Wars movies did. You don't have to have the biggest and bestest fight scene with, Anakin and Obi-Wan like they did in Episode 3. You don't have to top that, but you still have to have a fight scene. And for the most part, they hit the notes. The thing is, the notes are foul. They're dumb. They're silly. They're either not done properly or they're not done enough. It's like, oh yeah, we'll give you a slice of steak, but it's like the cheek. Or we'll give you the ground chuck, which is used for hamburger meat, which you can buy at McDonald's and not have to go through all this reservation bullshit. So you have to provide something on a standard of quality that they are expecting. And you could subvert stuff. You could say, okay, we're going to give you some chicken and steak. We're going to give you some fish and steak, some surf and turf. Ooh, it'll mix things up. So long as they get what they expect, you're fine. And that's all JJ had to do. Instead, he just went with the nostalgia stuff and just referencing things and putting stuff in there for any reason, which is not, like, you can't just, I'm going to make a steak ice cream. It's like, that's not going to work. I'm going to tell you right now. I know they paid for steak, but you can't make it a dessert. It's not going to work.
I think ultimately you shouldn't follow the fans in terms of don't hang out there every single word, because at the end of it, you do have to follow your creative vision. But it's not something, like he says, it's the way he's phrasing it, like, don't listen to fans. Just don't. Like, in terms of what they're telling you to do, does that also involve criticism?
Yeah.
What like idea? Like, it's so broad. Like, it's like, don't listen to anything they're saying.
Here's a good statement from Fritz again. To make his argument for him, I'd say, don't acknowledge the fans, but keep an ear to the ground on what they're talking about and what they want. That's a good way of putting it. You don't openly, publicly say, oh, we're listening. Like, this is what the BioWare people did. Oh, yeah, we're listening to all of our feedback. We're doing everything. We're listening to the forums, the emails, the social media. Oh, yeah, we're paying attention. It's like, no, you're not. You're listening to maybe the one or two fanboys who are saying, oh, I don't like the Mako. And we just completely eliminate the Mako elements in the whole series now.
I miss the Mako. The Mako, like, it was very poorly designed in terms of the gameplay, but it's a fucking awesome vehicle in terms of looks. It had so much potential.
To me, it was like when I was a kid and I played with my Tonka truck. Like, it's just a big thing that you have to be careful. You could ram it into things and break things. You have to be careful. But it was fun because you could put stuff into it and you could just roll over stuff. Like, it's fun. And yeah, it's slow as hell, and it's a tank. You could go up a mountain, and it has a rocket launcher. It's amazing. It's fun.
I like because we've had super heavy tanks in terms of Halo. We have the Scorpion, big, slow moving tank.
The hover tank.
And then I think it's fun and different to have a small, faster, like, kind of a more APC kind of tank.
Right.
And it's just, instead of actually fixing the Mako, they just throw it out there and replace it with, what was it, the Hammerhead?
That was a DLC, and it was supposed to... Oh, there's so many stories of how they originally had the Mako, then they took it out. Then they had the Hammerhead, and they took it out. And they said, oh, well, we have this other thing we're working on. We'll make that DLC. And it's a hover tank. These stupid designs. I hate... Anytime you have a science fiction or space opera, you're like, oh, a hover tank. It's one of those tropes in science fiction, which is so dumb. The same with a bipedal tank, or other ideas in Metal Gear.
Don't diss tanks with legs.
Oh God,
you're on soft ground there. They're nice.
At least some of the Star Wars designs had 4 legs. It's like, all right, 4 is fine, but 2 legs, like, that's dumb. Anyway.
Yeah, the ST8. the Satwalkers.
The fast ones,
I
I
mean
think.
the ATSTs.
Yeah.
ATST, okay.
All-terrain scout transport.
Oh, lots of fruit. Thanks for the fruit, 3-star. Really appreciate that. Okay. Jumped up on my screen like, whoa. All right. I remember that quote. Was that interview with Johnson and Hamill? And Mark's like, we got to think of the fans. And then Ryan's like, no, we got to think of ourselves. It's like, we got to think of our movie. It's like, like what? No.
And then like the whole crowd explodes in cheers because reasons.
Yeah, and Mark is just defeated. He's like, oh God, no. Anyway.
Fans don't know what they want. They never have. Maybe.
Yes, they do. They really do. They haven't thought about it, some of them, but they really do. When they think of Star Wars, they think of the Millennium Falcon, they think of lightsabers and ATSTs and all that junk. That's exactly what they're thinking about.
You, watching this video, are an enormous Star Wars fan, and you think you know what's best for the franchise.
I would say in general I do, yes. I think Shining myself.
That also.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I know what's best, but I would probably say that.
I would say please don't.
Sorry, Dunn, you keep cutting out.
Based on the flaws of both the.
Sorry?
Go first, Shiny. I'll go second.
No, I'm sorry. You say something, then you cut out, and then there's a long pause, and I don't know if you're finished. And then I start, and then all of a sudden you come back again.
I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can shift. Is that working better?
But now I've already forgotten what I was fucking saying.
Okay, well, I mean, like, in terms of, like, I would say, like, I think that I can kind of see, okay, what are the problems with the prequels and what are the problems with the sequels, and how do we avoid both? With the prequels, a lot of it is, like, at least, like, with Episode 1, a lot of it is pacing. Politics are placed out of nowhere when they should have been developed throughout the film. The characters, like, don't really get that much in the way of, like, characterization. You don't, and with Episode 2, the romance dialogue is painful, and, like, what they're setting up doesn't really work. And then you can kind of see with Revenge of the Sith, you can take some of the, like, the good things about it, like the opening, how kind of Order 66 is a very powerful moment. It works well as a capper for the trilogy. You just need to figure out, okay, what could have been built up to, how could we built up to this better to make it so that this moment was more powerful.
It was more foreshadowed, yeah.
To answer his actual question, it's like I don't think any of us think, oh, well, obviously we know best. I think that literally fucking anyone would be a better idea than to Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. But at the end of the day, hindsight is like a very beautiful thing because we didn't make these films. If we did create these films, there'd probably be problems. That's true. But it's like, we're not even talking like, oh, well, we know best. We're talking, hey, there's a problem with this film right here. We're pointing at it. We're not saying we know best. We're saying that this is here, and you're just ignoring it.
I think in general, when we talk about stories, we know what makes a good story. We know how to develop a character. We know how to make a setting and a plot work. At least I do. So in general, I could say, yeah, I know how to make a story with certain characters work. And if you give me the setting for Star Wars or the characters of Star Wars, we can work with that and massage it so it's copacetic with the technology and the lore. So we can do that. And that's the focus, because you never, ever deviate from the thing you're writing. If you're expecting a Star Wars book, you better know what Star Wars is. Same with any other franchise out there, whether it's Bond or fantasy. So we take
spy movie, or if it's like a spy movie, you got to be like, alrighty. So what are the trappings of a spy movie. What am I doing? A period piece? Am I doing a sci-fi one? Am I doing a mystery one on top of it? Am I doing like something like Altered Carbon? Or am I doing something more like maybe even doing a medieval mystery story or spy story?
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of things.
Those are cool. Yeah, no, there's all kinds of subgenres, and we talk about franchises. Those are extensions of genres and subgenres. It doesn't take much to research and figure out what they mean and how they work. And it would take me a while to figure out the lore of, let's say, George R. R. Martin, because there's so much and there's so many characters and so many plots and so many settings. But I'll eventually get the vibe. I'll go, oh, okay, I get it. I see what he's going for. And all I have to do is ask or search it online for reference and then make a story out of that. And voila, I betcha I can tell a pretty decent fantasy Game of Thrones plot short story. I'll write a short story and say, okay, it's okay. It's good. It's passable. And we saw that with the Telltale series games of Batman, of Game of Thrones, of Walking Dead. Those were passable stories. They weren't amazing. Some of them were really good. Some of them were just but they weren't offensive. And they had a spin on things. They had Batman choose between being Batman and his butler. Right at the end of one of those stories, where Alfred says, "I'm checking out. You're killing yourself. I don't want to see this." And you have to make the choice of being Batman and losing Alfred, or stopping Batman and keeping Alfred. Never been done before. I've never seen that in the comics. Simple enough. Anyway, we're going off topic. Let's get back to the video.
The question is, you're a fan that you think you know better or something.
You know what? I'm going to say I do. And I'm not even a huge fan of Star Wars, but I could probably know better than JJ and Ryan. No problem.
It's
and
not
is
a bad
offensive
thing.
to
It's
the
just
You're wrong,
inevitable.
Smud.
We want the things we love to be the way we want them to be. When movies or
No.
shows don't give us what we want, we reminisce about the good
But
times.
here it's not about what we want. We're not talking about what we want. We're talking about the problems in the fucking films.
The
And there's
film
a
that
lot
we
of
have
them.
is bad. Like, we're saying the film that we have is bad for very structural reasons. We're saying it's dumb and doesn't make sense.
Plot holes, terrible character motivation, terrible characters, all these are objective problems that are in the film. They're issues, there are lots of continuity breaches, things that just make no fucking sense, and they're there, and we can point at them, and that's not based on our perspective, that's not based on our biases or what we want in a film. It's there. We can point at it. We can measure it. We can say the problem is this big. It's yay high. It's causing other issues, and that's what we're doing. And then you just kind of wiping everything away as well. Oh, it's not the film that you wanted. I don't care. It's not the film that I wanted. You gave us a terrible film. I don't sit there and complain about the Lord of the Rings trilogy because I ultimately don't care about Lord of the Rings. It's not for me, but I admit they're great films.
Yeah,
There's a difference between your enjoyment and your judgment on the film's quality.
Here is Tyler Preston. Thank you for the donation again. This is exactly like how people like Lindsay Ellis, who accuses everyone who hates Twilight of hating teenage girls because of blah, blah, blah straw man bullshit.
Oh, man. Yeah, like...
Just let teenage girls like what they like.
Dominic Noble... Yeah, which is directly contradicted by the fact that, like, Dominic Noble, like, has been reading the Twilight books on his channel, and he's like, these books are awful. Like, they deserve every single bit of negative press they've ever gotten. Like, he's, like, went into it, like, even, like, he cited Lindsay Ellis's video at the beginning and said, like, I'm going to give them a fair shake. And then by Breaking Dawn, his Breaking Dawn second Breaking Dawn video, he's like, I get every single problem with these books. Like, I'm trying to find something positive, but I can't. This is horrible. is like even like the just a number of the concepts just on paper are disturbing. Like frickin' imprinting, where you are imprinting on a baby or a kid that you are eventually going to have sex with.
Boo. Okay.
It's Stephanie Meyer is really weird and messed up.
Yeah. Isn't fandom or fanfic great? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, alright. Well, technically, Twilight is an original idea.
I know.
It's 50 Shades of Grey.
That's the
50 Shades of Grey. That's the fan fiction.
Okay. Whew.
It's even worse.
No, this is great. John Lemley, Dunn, your hostage in the basement is being loud. Dunn, what are you doing?
What?
Stop imprinting that lady. All right. We'll keep on going.
Well, at least I'd be getting some.
Yeah.
For a franchise that's as deeply rooted in nostalgia as Star Wars, what the fans seem to want more than anything is for the movies to make them feel the way they did when they...
No, that's not what they want.
No, we don't want them to feel any. We don't want to necessarily feel a specific thing. We want this to make sense and not be dumb. We want this to be Star Wars, not Transformers. Because that's what these movies have been. They've been Transformers films.
It's kind of like looking at...
Just with more... Oh, go for it.
Yeah, looking at the Last Jedi script and going, okay, I don't know how this is going to work with the film, but I see a bunch of problems there. And we don't care how... I don't care how it... I don't care if the movie is a downer movie. Like, the general feeling is like, ugh... The Jedi suck and everything sucks. I don't care about the theme or the vibe. I care about it being a Star Wars movie and having the elements of Star Wars that I know Star Wars to be, that I can easily see. Because Star Wars is not that deep. It's not that complex. It has elements from here and there. You see the technology they're using. You see what makes Star Wars Star Wars. It's like, oh, I get it. It has spaceship battles and ships and action and robots running around. Okay, do that. Make it a downer movie. I don't care. Do it existential angst. One of the heroes. Fine. I don't care. Do that. Be creative. Great. But you got to have a hero go on a journey somewhere. Or a ragtag bunch of people screw up. Sure. Have them fail at the end. I don't care.
You could even do like what the Old Republic did and have like two actual power structures go up against each other. That'd be more interesting.
Yeah. The Sith and the other Sith? The two, I can't remember which ones they were.
The Sith and the Republic and the Sith Empire.
Sith Empire, yeah. The Eternal Empire, whatever it's called. The Immortal Empire, I can't remember. Yeah. Like, do great stuff. I don't care. Go crazy. Just have it make sense. Have it be Star Wars. You don't need to have Yodas running around backflipping. That's not necessary. It's cool, but that's not why you have Star Wars. That was fan service in episode 2, I believe. Like I was like, okay, Yoda's doing backflips. All right, that's fine.
We're kids. They fail to take into account is that tastes evolve and they're not kids.
No, that's not the argument.
It's not taste. We're not making subjective arguments.
That's like saying, hey, all the things you liked as a kid are different now because you're an adult. No one says that.
Yeah. Like, say honestly, Game of Thrones Season 8 is for adults and it has the exact same problems as The Last Jedi. They just do it almost in the exact same way, since the Night King gets killed, just like Snoke gets killed, randomly, just out of nowhere. And even Rian Johnson said that, oh, look, my Night King theory was subverted. Oh, well. Because Rian Johnson is an asshole.
Anymore. Still get sucked into a movie, but art hits you differently at different points in life, especially movies made for children. And yes,
not talking about the subjective parts of the film. Fuck off.
Just because it's made for kids doesn't mean it's also made for adults. It's a family film. That means adults and kids alike can enjoy certain elements more than the other. This is not a film for toddlers. This is not a film for 28-year-olds or up. This is a film for the family.
If this film was about as good as, say, Infinity War, people would be fine with that, because Infinity War is like, I think like Jeremy Johns would put it like best as like, it's a good time, alcohol required. Like, it's a good movie with a really good ending. Maybe like even like buy it on Blu-ray.
That's the culmination of a bunch of other films that were leading up to Infinity War, whereas Episode 7 was the start of something new, but it had to come from other stuff. So you don't have to have this general plot line where, I don't know, Rey has to bring back the Jedi or whatever. You don't have to do that. That could be implied, and I think that is implied in Episode 9, and that's fine. Like, that's not the story. That's not what it's about. But you have to know where you're coming from, and using the lore properly, and using the franchise and the patterns properly. And yes, tweaking and twisting and maybe breaking a pattern here and there, but not breaking all of them. Not
breaking all of them just breaking everything just makes the whole thing incoherent. And just throwing in the stupid casino planet because reasons.
And Rian Johnson's like he thinks that doing something new and different automatically means it's good. But if you're going to subvert someone's expectation, it still has to make sense. It has to be coherent, and that's the problem. It's not. It makes no sense why all these things are happening. They're just happening to subvert your expectation, and that's it. And it's annoying that he keeps referring to, well, this is all just your subjective tastes. It's just because you're no longer a kid, and you perceive things different when you're no longer a kid. It's like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about writing. We're talking about problems in the film, and then you keep bringing it back to the fucking straw man of, it was like, oh, well, you just didn't get what you liked. It's like, that argument is so fucking old at this point. It's got nothing to do with what we wanted or what we expected. I never really expected, Snoke to be Mace Windu, or Rey's parent to be Kenobi, or him to be fucking Darth Plagueis. I expected it to be well written. Oh, I didn't expect it to be well written, but it had to be well written, and it isn't.
Yep.
The expectations you should have and the level you should demand is at least a meh, which this film isn't even a meh. It is just so incoherent.
It's at least like, we understand. Like, it's not like there are decisions I disagree with. I disagree. I like question your basic like writing credentials. So at least with Rian Johnson, I don't question his basic intelligence like I do David Benioff.
I question Johnson's writing credentials. So
I question his credentials, but I don't question his basic intelligence and functionality as an adult human being.
Oh, that's another story entirely. Yeah. Okay.
It's very rare to find someone who can't accept criticism on the level of Rian Johnson. Like, I mean, there are other people. Miles Luna, I would put up as one of them, one of the writers behind Ruby. He's a fucking nitwit.
Anyway, we got 4 minutes left. Let's keep on going.
All these people are raging against movies for children. That's what's fueling.
How stupid is it to have like a secret rebellion ring?
To remake the movies.
Is that supposed to be some kind of symbol to say, "Hey, look, I'm from the rebellion"?
Does it do anything?
What that's found on you? Like, okay, I'm an Imperial officer. I'm just gonna quickly, check you for any illegal things. And oh, look, you have a ring. What happens? Oh, it has the rebellion symbol on it. Well, you fucked up there, didn't you? Time to go off to jail.
We just gotta kill him.
It's like, why would you have evidence on your body that you are part of the rebellion or the resistance or the same fucking difference?
I don't know.
And give it to a kid. That'd be a really great idea. Here's a decoder ring that does nothing. Have fun, kid. Okay, bye.
I don't even know the full point of that is.
To lose their jobs. And maybe it's just me, but I don't look at a grown man screaming about how the Space Wizard movie didn't turn out the way he wanted and think, this seems rational.
Oh, yeah. How about you, who's screaming about how it is good to you, and that seems rational? You're doing exactly the same thing. Only he's complaining with logic and references, and you're saying this is fine, nothing to see here, everything's great.
Most of the time. I'm not
saying he's perfect.
Jeremy is.
I'm not saying Jeremy's
Jeremy
perfect.
is, yeah, he's not perfect, but a lot of his criticisms are based in something. Though I think again his biggest problem, I've said this multiple times, is that he'll often just go off the rails. Like he'll go. He's hyperbole, and he will just like overreact and just go straight for it, just all of a sudden screaming. But yeah, Jeremy, like when he's not, overreacting, screaming, he's a pretty decent guy. Yeah, he was always like when I was with Geek and Gamers, he was always pretty nice.
Yeah. Every instance I've had with him online, he's been very, very cordial. Yeah,
it's just he has a very short fuse. I think that's the best way to describe it. But yeah, almost always he'll have something that he is based in something, even if he is overreacting. So when he's talking about Ray, it's based in real criticisms. When he's talking about John Boyega, it's real criticisms. Adam Driver, real criticisms.
We're reaching a point now that I find more than a little concerning, where the louder fans get, the more studios and creatives are starting to bend to the...
Really? Which ones?
He's going to reference Sonic. Well, he's going to reference, what's it called? Justice League and Star Wars: The Clone Wars, maybe?
Yeah.
But I think that the studios aren't bending to fans because fans are demanding it. They're bending to fans because they're losing money. And when you're losing money, they were very desperate to do any kind of course correction to get that money back.
Watching The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker back to back is the most clear-cut modern example of how fearing a fan base can destroy a story.
What? You honestly think Episode 9 was caused by fan response?
No, I don't think so.
I really don't think so either. JJ did a horrible job trying to tie up loose ends that unfortunately came from The Last Jedi.
I think no, Rise of Skywalker is a course correction to try and, because at that point everything was on fire, everything was fucking up, especially after Solo. I think after Solo was very much the hard course correction of, oh fuck, we need to do something, and then they just throw everything they can in there to try and
can you imagine?
Fix it, to try and bring the fans back.
Can you imagine if JJ was like, wow, The Last Jedi was so different, I'm going to do the same thing. He could just do something completely wild. You'd be like, that's the ending? Really?
Money.
Just think about it. Just imagine he was so inspired by TLJ, did his own crazy, weird, avant-garde film, and you're like, oh boy.
In the end, like, most people on both sides of the aisle hated it. The only like TLJ hater that liked The Rise of Skywalker was Star Wars Theory, but he has since walked back on that theory, on that take.
There are some I didn't know. Well, again, the people, because there are a certain amount of people, I think they're in a kind of majority, where I've mentioned this before, they walk into the cinema and they love it. So they walk into Force Awakens, they love it, they then think about it, and then they think about all the flaws, and then they say, actually, no, this is quite shit. Oh, but Last Jedi is totally better than The Force Awakens, and then they walk away from it. It's like, actually, no, this was shit. And then they go into Rise of Skywalker, they walk in, they love it, they walk out of it, and then they slowly realize, actually, no, it's shit. again, this happened with my ex-girlfriend. This has happened with multiple friends of mine who walked into the film and then realized, actually, no, it's terrible, and then walked back on everything they said almost immediately after watching it.
I watched Mahler's review before I watched Rise of Skywalker, which maybe colored my opinion, but I'm honestly like, I don't care. This thing's bad.
I was very much the moment, like from Force Awakens, even though I was like 14, I never cared for it. Maybe I was biased at the time because I was still mad at Disney for canceling Clone Wars and replacing fucking Rebels. But hey, and then when it came to The Last Jedi, I was already colored by the Force Awakens, because at this point I'm about 16, and obviously I'm starting to like get into movie reviews, and then I realize how shit it is, and then that's when I go into The Last Jedi. I was like, wait, what the fuck is it? Wait, what's this? What's that? What's that? That doesn't make sense. What were the fuck's happening over there? That doesn't make any sense. And then especially when it comes to like Rise of Skywalker, I was like, Rise of Skywalker was last year, right? So yeah, I'd still be 19, and at that point it's like I've lost all the coloring there. I had no illusion that this was going to be good.
Rise of Skywalker is so desperate to be liked and accepted by the fans who rejected the last movie that it forgets to tell an actual story. It just throws Star Wars things at you for 2.5 hours and then stops. The characters...
It tells a story, just a bad one. It's just a mishmash of ideas. Yeah, I understand what he's trying to say, though. That's fine.
Journeys end up muddled, the trilogy's themes are torpedoed, and you're left with familiarity with no heart and no spine. The Last Jedi...
there's a spine, it's just broken. The heart, I don't know.
The Last Jedi has no heart. It's a cynical, nihilistic mess made by a postmodernist asshole who just wants to give the middle finger to his audience because he thinks it's funny.
And The Rise of Skywalker is a mishmash of storylines connecting so quickly that you're not sure what's going on. And once you stop and think about it, you go, that's stupid, that's even dumber, and this is even stupider. It just keeps going on and on, this big connection of nonsense. But there's definitely some emotion there. I mean, I think Kylo Ren, as stupid as that apology scene was, that's like, okay, he cares. He's actually, he's changing his mind because he died, obviously. Killing you, it does change your mind. And then he, learned to forgive himself because his daddy said so. I don't know what the hell that was about. See, it's dumb scenes, but there's still heart to them. There's still some feeling. Like Rey is sort of sad that she did this because she realizes. I don't know why she's sad though. Like it doesn't make sense that she's sad stopping Kylo, but I guess she senses that Leia died. And
I guess.
You might want to tell them push to talk, by the way, because we're hearing a lot of background sounds.
No, sorry, that's weird.
So it's stupid scenes, but there's still drama in them. So maybe he's not meaning like a character depth of feeling or heart, or an arc, or some other elements. But there is drama. It's not like devoid of it. It's stupid. It's so dumb.
I just have a quick question. Who the hell was Rogan Daniels in chat? He says he's left now, but that was a weird, just random person that came in and then started defending the sequels.
What?
He's in chat. He started shitting on fans, saying how toxic they were and how he's fed up of being called a fake fan and how much he loves the films and something. And just every now and again in chat, it's like, "Oh, name a more toxic fandom, Rick and Morty." Oh, that's true, but name another one, Steven Universe. Name another one. There's a lot.
So Shineying, I'm 24. I'm not 24.
I could have sworn you said, "Oh, younger," but okay, you're fine. I'm the youngest person on the Smudcast. There you go.
Was that a problem?
Look, I'm mature for my age.
Yeah.
I'm a mature clone. Well, actually, in clone years, I'm 40. There you go. We age twice as fast.
All right. We got
Shut the fuck up, alarm!
you got 2 minutes
What
left.
yelling at me for?
It works for me because it wasn't concerned with pleasing the fan base. It was concerned with taking Star Wars to new places. But
That's such a silly thing. That's such a dumb thing to say. If you go into a film expecting a certain thing and go, oh, I wasn't expecting all this stuff to happen, that doesn't mean it's going to be good. It's the difference between going to a restaurant and saying, I want a steak. And they say, oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of steak, but we still have some duck. It's like, well, I've never eaten duck. Is it as good as a steak? It's different, but you'll love it. And I'm like, okay, waiter, I'm going to trust you on this. And he comes back with a gorgeous duck breast with a blueberry reduction sauce and a little bit of steak frites. You're like, oh my God, this is like, I wasn't expecting this. It's not steak, but you know what? Pretty good. Lots of protein, lots of fat. I love it.
Yeah, like with I'd say like if somebody like gave like I went to a steak and ordered steak and they gave me some ribs that were equally well cooked, I'd be like, you know what? I'm cool with this.
Right. Maybe it's like beef
I made
ribs
the cookie analogy ages
or
ago,
something.
where it's like you order a chocolate chip cookie and it ends up being like white
Cheesecake.
chocolate. Maybe it has nuts in it,
Yeah.
but it's not what you're expecting at all. But it's still a cookie, and if it's really fucking well done, you're not gonna care. It's like, this is a delicious cookie, and just gonna eat it down. Can I have another one? So when you subvert someone's expectation, you have to give them something which is on par with what they were expecting, and that's not even going to the fact that it's poorly written. Because why does it keep going back to the whole, well, subjective? You
Right.
just didn't like it because it wasn't what you were expecting.
And then we actually look at the elements that make Star Wars Star Wars. So we list them. We say the lightsaber battles, the philosophy of the Force and the good and bad. That's pretty standard. The spaceship battles, and we look at The Last Jedi, and they all suck. They are all badly expressed or rendered on the screen. The spaceship battles are garbage. Nothing happens. You're just watching one fleet of ship chase another ship while they get blown away slowly. That's not fun. That's not exciting. The throne room fight, that was stupid. That was the worst fight scene in Star Wars. I've never seen a worse fight. Even Episode 9 has better fight scenes.
It's one of the worst fights.
It is the worst
fight scene in movie's history. It's the worst fight scene in movie history.
Horrible. And all the philosophy of the Jedi, completely out the door. Jedi suck. The Sith suck. We kill them off. Luke sucks. Snoke dies. There's nothing. It's all
to
pointless.
say when the Jedi die, the light dies. It's vanity. It's like, no, Luke, we need you to go stop the bad guys who are doing bad things right now.
All the stuff
Just go stop them.
that you want out of, and even the details of the bombing of the ship, like that's all, like we're talking about the stupid World War II bomber and all the fight scenes. Those are all bad. You might say the first 10 minutes were action packed with Poe because he's an amazing pilot and that's his thing, but that's about it. Everything else is, all the things you want out of that steak is not there in this other dish they provide. I don't know what to, I don't like I don't know, boiled chicken or something, and it's just no flavor and it's all white meat and you're like, this is boring. And it's cooked improperly. Like you could get poisoning. Like that's the kind of reaction we got from TLJ. At least I got. Episode 9 was just I don't know. I can't even describe it properly in a food analogy. It's like a buffet, but everything's just retarded. Here's some I don't know. We knocked off the horns of a cow. Here's the head of the cow. You're like, whoa. I guess I could eat that.
The fans wanted familiarity. They wanted
No.
what they knew and what they
No.
liked. So Palpatine's back, and Luke
No,
says
we
that
did not want
everything he did
Palpatine.
in The Last Jedi was wrong, and Rey
It
is the
was.
best Jedi, and Kylo Ren is redeemed, and the evil Empire's
We didn't need to have any of that.
Wait, everyone wanted Rey to be the best Jedi? Isn't that one of the main criticisms about her character, is that she's too good and she's a Mary Sue? What?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Shiny. You mispronounced it. It's Marisi.
Is blown again, but without a consistent story to back it up, and the
What makes a consistent story, sir? Do you know? Logic is one of those things. Elements of patterns and storytelling is another. Lore is another big part of that. Plot is a big one too. Like, they're all very important. These are all arguments against The Last Jedi. But because it wasn't what I was expecting, it must be good. I can't wrap my brain around this argument.
Contradictory nature of so many of these plot points alongside the other films in the trilogy, it's all just so empty. Fans generally have a very narrow-minded idea of what the things they love should be. And
I don't think so. I really don't think they're narrow. I think kids go, wow, Luke Skywalker, wow, X-Wing, wow. That's not narrow-minded. They know exactly what they want.
Yeah, another problem is you have... So, like, this guy made a video about how Game of Thrones broke apart in the last season, and a big problem with the last season of Game of Thrones was they had limited options that they could use for that season, just based on the fact that they had knocked over so many pieces in season 7. They were limited in where they could go. And then we had season 8 where they just like threw random curveballs at us just for the sake of being unique.
Job of creating.
And it's the same thing with Last Jedi. They did the same thing.
There were so many gotcha moments in episode 8. I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, and they just drop it. Like, Snoke dies. Look, who cares? No one cares. Doesn't matter anymore. Just bizarre selections and ideas. Rose bashing into Finn was just retarded. And her speech is like, oh, God, how bad can this get? Nope. Blow up the goddamn base behind when she kisses. It's like, oh, my God. How much dumb can this get? In 20 seconds. Ram into Finn.
Why is there a big wall on the rock in a mine that nothing can possibly penetrate other than a miniature Death Star laser? Surely you could just, I don't know, fucking blow it from space. And there's nowhere that can go exactly. So I'm confused. Like, why do they have an impenetrable wall that can only be stopped by one thing? Bring a turbo laser tower. Anything. Lightsaber. Just cut through it. Melt it. Dig under it. Nuke it from space.
Bomb it from space. You don't have your dreadnought destroying whatever was that. What was that gun called again? That blew up the base on the other planet? Some gun, the main gun, whatever it was. They don't have that.
Big gun.
Yeah. Just use your other ships that are still around. Just use them. They can still shoot stuff, right? Not as efficient.
In the shots, there were Star Destroyers that were perfectly fine. So why not just get them? Yeah, I think before, in Legends, you could get a Star Destroyer to glass a planet.
Yeah.
Glass. A planet. Why all of a sudden this piece of shit could not destroy a fucking wall? Well, who built the wall? Who? The rebellion? Why did the rebellion build a wall and a mine on a random planet in the middle of nowhere that no one cares about that's now abandoned?
What it can be. If you dislike this movie or any movie because of the story or characters or it just
all the bad
kind of
writing,
movie, that's fine.
Wait. That's fine? Really?
The whole argument is that the characters are bad.
I don't. So it's okay for people to dislike the movie based on the story. What?
I don't think I've been
What is
treating
your-
this video seriously at all.
What are you talking about?
I'm really not treating this video seriously
So
at
it's
all.
okay for us to dislike it on the story alone. Then what? Okay, I'm lost now. What's he trying to tell us? Lessons to learn from the Star Wars sequels. Why haven't you told us any of the bad elements of these movies? Just because you like them? You said there's lots of problems with the TLJ. Which ones? Aren't those the lessons to learn? What other lessons would there be to learn? What? They're good? I don't... Oh, boy. They could be bad, but he doesn't know about that because he likes the film. It must be great. Wow. I can even list things I like with TLJ. It's not horrible completely. It's not completely rotten. We've talked about how good...
Looks pretty.
The music is good. The scenes are great. This lighting is good. The action for some of the Millennium Falcon scenes are pretty good when they're flying through Crate. Those look good. They're stupid as hell. They don't make any sense, but they look great. How do they take out 20 TIE fighters? I have no idea. They never show it. But Rey did it somehow with her gun, her turret.
But if it's because you didn't get what you wanted, you're just complaining. Those complaints.
What? I wanted a good
we didn't
movie.
like the movie because it was poorly written. That's fine, but we're just complaining because we didn't like it.
What? I wanted a well-written movie, but if it's poorly written, it's okay. What?
The problem is, like, I give 4 classifications. They're pretty broad for movies. It's good and I like it. It's good and I don't like it. It's bad but I like it. Or it's bad and I don't like it.
This guy
Those are like my 4 classifications.
It's
pretty easy for me to sort them into
these
particular rating system.
Do all these arguments involve a lack of logic on their side? It's just like, did you even understand the paragraph you just said? You just contradicted yourself in the second sentence. If you don't like the story in this movie, that's fine. But if you're just complaining, but if you don't like it, you're just complaining.
If you're criticizing it for having terrible writing, you're just complaining.
Why? And like, ultimately,
a lot of the videos on YouTube are criticizing them for their terrible writing.
Yeah, you technically did a criticism of Game of Thrones, and we're still having like Game of Thrones critiques. Like, I think Money Media has put out 2 1.5-hour videos all about how Game of Thrones was bad. Season 8 was bad. He's even bringing up stuff that Mauler didn't bring up, which is kind of insane.
I think Mauler didn't finish his reviews of that, did he?
Not yet, no.
Well, now he's doing, according to people and stuff, he's making his Last of Us video, so I don't think we're ever going to get a finisher for Game of Thrones.
Not for a while, no. Since it seems like Mauler just has a lot on his plate with like lots of long videos that he's working on. But he uses EFAP to decompress and get some extra super chat money.
What was the last video he put out? Was like Rise of Skywalker?
I think it was Game of Thrones season 8, episode 5.
Was it? I mean, I have to check now. Let me go see.
I'm checking right
now.
Yeah.
Where are you, Mola?
Anyway, we've got less.
Nope. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. Oh no, it's the part 3 of Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Yeah.
Let's get through this. We got less than 2 minutes. We're almost done.
3 months ago. Yeah.
Saints belong. on social media and among people. They don't deserve any legitimate platform, especially not in the products of the very franchise that caused them. You can never please everyone. The loudest people were
It's not about pleasing everyone, it's about making a coherent film.
To say why they're bad, because that's very easy to monetize on YouTube. So
wait a second.
Making up reasons why they're bad?
It's so easy to list why things are bad. That's not worth your time on YouTube and to monetize it?
You know, I'll say that, yes, it's easy to say why things are bad, but we're not making this shit up. They're in the film. These are things you can look at, you can measure, you can point at. They're there. They don't make any fucking sense. And we're talking about it. We're not pulling this out of our ass.
Isn't it funny how there's
the
so many
issue
videos?
that he's kind of bringing up is that the rise of Skywalker, by nature of like kind of as he sees it, pandering to the fans by making Rey a somebody and like killing off Kylo Ren, things like they see that like that is pandering to the fans, and that's
not what he's talking about right now.
He's saying like don't legitimize these people or give them a platform in the movies they are doing, because
he's essentially saying we're making shit up because we don't like the film.
Well, I will argue it is easier to find out flaws than it is to find out good things, because the good is always hard to describe in terms of quality, but maybe there's something actually flawed in the thing we're critiquing. And that's why everyone else is also doing the same thing, because it's so obvious to everyone else. And we just keep talking about it because it's so funny that these things keep getting repeated.
It's just like it's a weird pattern. Like Terminator Dark Fate, Last Jedi, and it kind of like
Dunn?
Hello?
Dunn, you there?
I'm here.
All right.
1 second. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's just because I'm. Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Better? Is this working better?
It's working.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess like the only.
And there it goes
It goes again.
I guess like the only film that is on the woke angle that has made money is pretty much just
Captain Marvel,
The Last Jedi. I was going Jedi, but yeah, that too. Since Terminator Dark Fate made no money, like it lost money. Ghostbusters 2016 lost money. So.
All right, one more minute.
Whole bunch of bad movies. Yeah.
Whew.
Don't listen to them and just tell a story. So, those were my main takeaways from the Star Wars sequel trilogy. When the next round of movies hits, will Disney learn from their mistakes? I hope so. I want to enjoy Star Wars and I want to see...
good luck, we're not getting another fucking trilogy. And we're not... Fuck off, we're not getting episode 10, 11, and 12. No. Why would anyone have a sequel trilogy? It was dumb enough having the sequel trilogy. That wasn't a sequel trilogy because it wasn't even following the same story or characters or factions.
The Star Wars sequel trilogy. When the next round of movies hits, will Disney learn from their mistakes? I hope so. I want to enjoy Star Wars and I want to see new, exciting takes on it. Now that they're free from the Skywalker saga, I hope they branch out and move beyond the very limited range of stories and time periods they've explored so far. The Mandalorian is fun. I'm excited for Rian Johnson's trilogy and the
Whoa. You're not getting it.
That implies that Rian Johnson's movie will ever get made.
Wait.
There's no way that it's going to get made.
No, according to, what was it, Urban Acolyte, word on street is that Rian Johnson's and D&D films trilogies are going to be, like, connected. So he fucking made that up. Don't fucking wait. You made that up.
Problem is, D&Ds are already like working on the 3-body problem with Netflix.
Yeah, they quotation marks turn down Star Wars conveniently.
Yeah. This is the thing I don't get, because we know D&D turned it down. We know Rian Johnson never got a feedback from.
No. They turned it down. Quotation marks conveniently after.
I think Austin Film Fest they humiliated themselves at Austin Film Fest Q&A. like last year they went to a writers festival and it was like, wait, these guys are like admitting on camera we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know the casting process, and this was basically Game of Thrones was essentially an expensive film school for us.
Yeah, but we know these news items from like last year. This video that this guy made was in September. Does he not pay attention? Does he not know like what's going on?
Yeah, it's like Rian Johnson is not coming back. He's currently like doing his own thing. Like, you'd think that they would be doing something, but they're not. And like now, like even with even before COVID, they were waffling about what they were going to do. Like it was kind of like they announced a set of movies that would release, and then nothing came out about casting or who was going to be like writing it, like what era is going to come out in. The only piece of news that we got from Star Wars was either Mandalorian and that stupid High Republic idea.
Oh God,
that's the only thing that can. Yeah,
High Republic's not going to go well.
Oh no, it's not. It's going to be terrible. But at least it's just a set of idiotic books, which I might read on stream, or at least like read bad sections of it on stream because it would be hilarious.
Dunn, now something is like there's a lot of noise on your mic right now.
Let's leave Dunn alone. We're almost done.
If it's not one thing, it's the other.
Oh boy.
The franchise has so much potential. I think it's just taking slow steps.
Is it like static or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're nearly done. Just leave it.
Yeah.
More curious about is seeing the next generation of fans who grew up with this era of Star Wars react to the next cycle. Maybe it'll be more rage and anger, or maybe new approaches will breed new results. I mean, no matter what happens, people are going to get unreasonably mad. It's Star Wars, let's be realistic. But maybe when the movies come back and we've all calmed down a little bit, we can just have some fun space adventures again. I think that's what we all want. And even though I'm not really that emotionally invested in the...
You're not emotionally invested after making a 17-minute video about lessons to learn from Star Wars? That you like The Last Jedi. You're telling me it's not emotionally invested because it has soul? Where Episode 9 does not have soul?
I thought he was looking forward to Rian Johnson's trilogy, but he's not invested.
Yeah. I'm not a fanboy.
Being excited and looking forward to something is being invested.
I'm not invested, guys. No, I just can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I think Dunn's secretly a clanker.
Oh.
One second, let me disconnect and reconnect real quick.
All right.
I'll probably be there opening night. I know my weak spot.
Oh my God, I'll probably be there opening night. I'm not invested, guys. I'll just line up on opening night on a Friday 12 o'clock premiere. Sure.
I'm not going to be there for sure.
I will watch it for free somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just do what we did. Just have we'll probably do that for, what's it called? The holiday special, when that releases this month.
Oh, really?
The Lego holiday special.
Okay. Well, this guy, again, he's not emotionally invested, but he's anticipating and can't wait to see Rian Johnson's new trilogy, which he hasn't heard about, was never a thing. And he's going to line up on premiere night. That's not emotional. He's intellectually invested. He's not emotionally invested.
I think it's the connection with your microphone to your computer. Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Don't worry. We have
you could say Dunn has fantastic feedback.
We have 10 seconds, guys. We're good to go.
So, those are some lessons to learn from these
We're
Star
done.
Wars sequels. Thanks very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like.
I'm sorry, I couldn't take this video seriously at all, which is why I was doing... I didn't even try. In the beginning, I was doing the, oh, well, you pretend drug voice, but now I'm actually seriously tired. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning.
Go to bed, Shiny, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Well, thanks for tuning in. That was a big, another silly... Dunn just wanted to do it. I said, okay, Dunn, let's do it. And it's like an hour later, oh, we're not doing it. Oh, we are doing it. Okay, let's get going. So that's why it's a bit later in the day. But, yeah, we're done. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, here's John Lemley. He must not be invested if he doesn't know it's canceled. Yeah, I don't know. He seems to be invested, but not so much emotionally. I don't know how that works. Weird logic with this gentleman, but you know.
I think I know the reason why Glib and
Message
LiteratureDevil aren't here.
Patching it through.
Oh, really?
Like there's just apparently there's some election going on.
Oh, that whole American. Yeah, whatever.
May have heard of it. I don't know too much about it.
Honestly, I haven't paid attention. I have no idea.
Neither have I.
Hey.
I think people got upset with me because Gleb kept bringing up the election and like all about Trump, and it's like, oh well, Trump, if he loses the thing, he can go to the Supreme Court, and then something about conspiracy or something. I wasn't quite paying attention. And I said, well, this is morning nonsense. You know, I don't care. Please, can we talk about the actual video we were covering or the article we were covering? And then everyone in the chat got really upset with me. It's like, oh, Shiny, you're just upset because buddy, but it's like, no, it's morning nonsense. I don't fucking care about your American politics.
That's surprising. I mean, most people in fandoms, they have their fandom or their topic, and they focus, and that's that. We don't care about politics. When we say we're apolitical, we really just don't. We don't care.
Well, usually, like, I wouldn't say we're apolitical because we do cover things like, I don't know, like feminism in media and such. Yeah. But we're not really that talkative in terms of, I don't know, real politics.
No, I have a channel where I just copy and paste videos from other news stations or from C-SPAN. It's called CPAC, where I just say, this is what happened in Canada today. Bunch of crazy people that's in charge of stuff. So
that's just Canada in general.
Yeah, I know. It's such a waste of time. But it's fun to poke fun at. With the Americans, it's a spectator sport. It's really like a big deal. So
But it's more just like, I thought that the whole, because again, LitDev even did like the no debate stream to like for people to get away from all that shit. And Morning Nonsense is supposed to be about like nonsense. It's supposed to be fun in a way. It's not supposed to be about, oh, who's winning the election today? Because America, everything to do with America is the world and blah, 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 blah. And it's even insane when it goes to like, this is the closest we've been to the Civil War. It's like, that's exactly what you said in 2016 and 2012 and probably all the years before that. Every year, apparently, America comes so close to a Civil War.
Well,
America's just always on the verge of civil war. It always has the worst election of the year until the next year.
It's always the greatest election of your lifetime. It's the most important election of your life. Every 4 years.
But nothing fucking changes. Like, Obama gets in, nothing changes. Trump gets in, nothing changes. Biden gets in, nothing's gonna fucking change.
That Obamacare was a big deal in the States. Trump lowering taxes, I think, was the biggest deal I've ever seen, just because of my finances.
But ultimately, in the day, you're gonna wake up at your bed. You're gonna get on with your life, and other than some lower taxes or some smaller changes, everything's gonna keep continuing in the day. And it's like, it's of course elections are important, but you shouldn't revolve your entire life around politics. And I think like it's the point where people, I'm not going to say anyone specifically, but I know some Americans who were really sweating over the elections, like positively panicking. And that is not the point where you should like let yourself go with politics. You shouldn't let it, ruin your day if your elected position isn't getting into power, or be that worried about it. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not going to change your everyday life. You're going to live your life. You're going to get out of bed, do your job, go back to sleep.
Unless you live in the Middle East, then you should be very careful.
Mm.
Who knows what bombs will be dropped next in certain countries when the American president gets reelected. It's okay, we got to change things up. Let's bomb Middle East. It's like, what? Why? That's their policy. It doesn't matter which president gets elected, what aisle they're on. Time to bomb someone, some part of the world.
Bombing someone.
It usually involves the Middle East, yeah. So
who's got a lot of oil today?
Ooh, I know. Well, Canadians will sell it to you at a premium or at a very low price because we're crazy. We can't refine our own oil.
You can get it. Then you can get it for cheaper if you invade.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know the politics of oil refining.
Yeah. Ultimately, I don't care. I just love taking the piss.
Okay. Well, I think you should go to bed, and I think Dunn should take it easy. I'm going to brush up and get ready for bed, too. But thanks for tuning in, folks. That was a little later than we expected. We were almost at 3.5 hours. And always fun to do these weird videos that just sound ridiculous to us. So we're still doing movie night. At the voting, I don't know when we're going to end it, but I think it might be... What is it? The Terminator. I think that's winning right now. That's going to be our next film, unless it drastically changed in the past 3 hours. I don't know. Much better than the American election. Yeah, everyone's voting. So, and yeah, it'd be great. So thanks for having us. We appreciate your time. Thanks, Dunn, for popping
I don't even know when the British elections are. Like when we're voting for the next ministers and shit.
Wow, Shiny,
I even pay attention to that.
Yeah, you just do not care. You're like, what? I'm a British citizen still? Oh, we didn't get invaded by Poland?
A few years ago, like I became eligible to vote, and it's like, okay, I'll give it a look. It's like, okay, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, and I really don't like you. Who the fuck do I vote for? Because at the end of the day, because again, we vote for our ministers, MPs. So we vote for our MPs, and whoever has the most MPs gains like the House and the Prime Minister. So ultimately, whoever you vote for is going to be putting the people in charge. So if I vote Conservative, it's like which I don't even really agree with or like, then it's kind of I don't like them. And then when it goes to Labour, it's all the social justice, and I've already forgotten his fucking name, but Communist Corbyn, that's it. It goes to Corbyn. So it's like, even if I agree with the MPs on like their own stances, at the end of the day, I'm going to be supporting someone who I vehemently disagree with, and none of the parties I like or agree with in any capacity. So I don't really, again, I just don't see the point in voting because nothing's going to change. It's all just going to be nonsense. Well, I have a very cynical view in that respect.
You're talking about your federal.
It's certainly not worth.
You're talking about your federal elections. It's very similar to us in Canada and Australia. We have the Westminster parliamentary system, so we have vote. I barely vote for provincials. I mostly vote local, like municipal and federal. Those are where the big changes get made. Whereas we see the provincial as just sort of this whatever. Sometimes it's important. Like it was important last time because of Ontario being so screwed up by the Liberals, and now we have the Conservatives and they're screwing things up. So yeah, it doesn't really matter who you vote for. They're going to screw stuff up. They're going to overspend, and they're going to piss people off. So it just.
I'm pretty sure just everyone has the same status anyway. It's like, oh, we're gonna put money into everything while lowering taxes. That's my position. We're also making more jobs and whatever the fuck else you want to believe. Like, Corbyn was very much like, again, I remember my granddad, he's like a very liberal Labour person, and he's like Corbyn's great. He's like he's gonna create more jobs, and he's gonna put money into all these programs, and it's like, granddad, literally, you criticize Trump for the same fucking arguments, like what he's gonna do. Oh, but that's Trump. It's like Corbyn's doing the exact same fucking thing of saying he's going to put money into everything. I can't believe you're really falling for this.
Anyway, that was Shiny not caring about politics. Bravo, Shiny. Go to bed. Have a great night.
Sometimes you just have to vent. Look.
Isn't that what Glib's doing
get
that
upset
right now?
with politics. There you go. That's my take.
Okay.
Don't sweat.
Oh.
Live your life. Enjoy your life. You only get one. Have fun.
Have a drink, get a burger, pet a dog, get a girlfriend, that sort of stuff. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Good to know.
And this is from someone who pretends to be a clone online while criticizing films, telling you to get a life.
All right. Bravo, Shiny. Gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon, and have yourself a great night.